Pub Sports Radio is very excited to announce the dates for Pubapalooza 4. The most exciting weekend of the gambling year. Round 1 of March Madness. It's all going down in San Antonio, Texas at the Southtown 101, Thursday the 20th till Sunday the 23rd. It's going down, baby.
Scheduled events every day that weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's all going down in Southtown 101. Come hang out with some of your favorite Pub Sports Radio personalities.
Oof, I can't wait. Meet us in Texas, baby. It's going down.
Introducing PubCoin. PubCoin is the rewards program for Pub Sports contributors. Regular chat contributors share their play of the day, POD, in the YouTube chat, including the phrase POD in their message. At the end of the week, the amount of units earned are converted into PubCoins. PubCoin can be used as reward points for prizes, shop discounts, and contests.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Mills here, Pub Sports Radio. Do you guys want to challenge the personalities here at Pub Sports Radio? Do you guys think you're better than them at entering in your MMA predictions and picks? Would you want to get paid for it? $100? Here's how you do it, man. You sign up right here at the link below. It's just this easy. PubSportsRadio.com. Enter your email. Pick your weekly picks. That's it. Oh, and you get bonus points if you can predict how they're going to win in what round. Every single week, a new winner's getting crowned. So every Saturday on Pub Sports Radio. So come on and check us out. You can win $100 just for signing up. Only thing you need to do is see if you can beat us here at Pub Sports Radio by entering your UFC predictions and picks weekly. Do it. I dare you. See you guys soon.
Upgrade your membership to Gold. You will be automatically entered in every horse race, every Wednesday and Friday. It is time to race horses. We are racing camels today.
Shout out to the Gold members. We're racing in San Antonio immediately here. And we're off. 2 minutes, 74 canals on this racetrack. It's wide. We're racing in San Antonio.
Pat Wally moving forwardly. Jeff Slaughter in the mix as well. And as is Randall Sheffield, who's put that beautiful nose out front.
But it's actually real grass here, Jimmy. Maybe Kentucky bluegrass. Oldie, no! There he goes. Oldie in the lead now. K. Wolf falls back. The horses love it. Sometimes they stop and eat it on the way to the finish line. That's why your horses start so far in the back. Here. Oh, look at Nutflush Allen bursting out here. J-Dub in the mix. Rude Boy up here as well. Jimmy, take it away.
There's Oldie. Oldie is moving to the front. We are past the halfway mark in our 2 mile. And there's Ricky Levy.
Oh my goodness, he's in the mix here. Jimmy, take it home. This is our first dog race ever.
19 seconds left in the horse race here. It's Fernando Mendoza trying to find the wire. 14 seconds left. Can Fernando Mendoza take this home? Here comes Kenny Ken. Kenny Ken wants a piece of the pie. Put his schnoz up front. Ricky Bobby, 9 seconds left. Can Donut Silks make a run? Can Red Small make a run to be $50?
You son of a bitch!
Here comes Tori Coker. Kenny Ken, Smoke and Mirrors, Director 97. Home. That is where comes Jason Meyer, the other auto custodian. Billy Friedrich. Joe's one all coming down the finish.
Coin! Nowhere!
Oh no! Fanatical Jim!
Live from the corporate Peter Low Shack. Legendary sports handicapper, more dapper than a dawn. Father young phenom, known as Jimmy, who declared one day that the bag was here to stay. Information like a PSA, we all PSR Pub Sports Radio Bizarre. There's a man named Slaughter and he flipped the script. No competition in this but they quit the trip. Though we say we be pubbing, betting with the bag and you love it. We want a top 10, we above it. Leche.
What up, campers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Friday the 13th to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. It was a roller coaster ride yesterday. Extremely enjoyable. The 49ers, I ended up with 2 units on the side. I mean, just one for record-keeping purposes. But that loss cashed the under. Cashed the Rangers live at plus 125, but lost my other live bet on Brock Purdy over 8.5 rush yards. So made a little bit of money live. I went 5-2 in college basketball. I enjoyed that cap immensely. And then went 4-3 plus 1.44 units in NHL. You know, everything, you know, the outcome of the NHL last night would have been the kind of situation that would have got me paid in full years ago when everything was on the puck line, because I cashed 4 of my 6 -1s. You know, no pushes. You know, they all cashed by more than a goal. So we're moving in the right direction. You know, moving in the right direction. The Pistons was an ugly look in NBA, so went 0-1 there, but can't wait to attack the NBA card today. So overall, you know, a winning night, but it's kind of getting a little dicey. But a winning night, and that's all that matters is the cash and waking up pumped up to attack the card. I stayed up real late capping it, and I'm really excited about this card. We only have the one game in NHL. The Colorado Avalanche tomorrow night is a must bet. A must bet after the debacle last night. In fact, some of the spots are kind of tricky because we have, you know, like there's a bunch of spots where, like the Panthers Flames on Saturday, where both teams are coming off being embarrassed, which makes it a little trickier. I mean, obviously you'd want the Panthers after being embarrassed. Who cares what happened to the Flames? But it is touch and go when you lose that badly. But overall, it was a winning day. And look, when it comes down to it, the black is the black. It's where we want to be, and it's where we were yesterday. Great to see all of you guys. We've got Truth Teller in the house. Truth Teller, great call on the Rams yesterday. We got Justin McKelvey's stacks plays of the day. Cavaliers under and Nebraska -4.5. The nuke worker in the house. Morgan Spooner. I've copied and pasted all of your action already, you guys, so I'm ready to rock. We have Boston U plus 4.5. Weber State -2.5. And South Dakota at South Dakota State plus 9.5. I've copied and pasted that, so we'll go over all of it. Dan Kelly in the house. Great to see you. Serious business. Ron Crawford NBA play today is Brooklyn. LJ from H-Town Trill OG play today is Memphis -10.5. Double revenge spot. NCAA plays today for Ron Crawford. Omaha and Carolina -1. And wonderful news from Kong's Clip says, my nephew is doing better this morning. He'll be in the hospital for a couple days, but he will be okay. Thanks for the good thoughts and prayers. I love this community. What a perfect way to start our show with that wonderful information from Kong's Clips. Perfect way to get this rolling. Thank you for giving us that wonderful update. And now we'll take whatever update. You know, life is not always going to provide us with positive updates, but when we have one, let's rejoice in it. So that's wonderful news, Kong. Thank you, my man. Well, Rogue Energy in the house. Drew Skilosa ready to get to work. And Dan Kelly says, damn, the Cavs are a 6-point favorite in the first quarter tonight. Easy to see why. Cavs were in a losing funk at the end of the most recent stretch. That was primarily a function of the schedule. They had some really bad scheduling situations that cost them a chance at the Cup. They probably didn't even realize the bad situations. They were in both games versus Atlanta and that spot in Miami. But now they're fresh and pissed off. Could win the first half by 50 tonight. Hugh Janus, his Flyers over Wild Saturday. No, Hugh. See, I mean, it's just, look, you know I want to bet the Flyers every game. But the Wild just lost 7-1. And I don't think there's any value fading the Flyers, and I don't want the Wild without Eriksson, and Brodin, and to a lesser extent Zuccarello. But you just can't. It's all situational. Like if you know, I was looking at some of the games that happened in NBA Sunday when I was just solely focused on NFL. the teams that had been embarrassed in the game before, whether it be on Friday or Saturday, came back and smashed on Sunday. I mean, it's just, you can't fade any team after losing 7-1. Now, we were on the Oilers. We added Oilers and Devils -1 here on the show. They were things of goddamn beauty. Big payouts on the -1 line. Hugely important payouts. But no, I don't think you can, Hugh. I don't think it's the wrong bet, but I can't. You know, it was funny looking at the Saturday card. There was so many instances where that would have been the perfect spot, even if the Wild had just lost 4-3 to the Oilers. But Robert McCormick in the house. Nice to see you, Robert. We got T-Moss ready to get to work. Aubrey Travis. And T-Moss says he was born on Friday the 13th in July of 73. There is the Wager Detective. Wager Detective, great call on the Rams money line yesterday. And Wager Detective says, why is the board so light in sports today? Not light at all. It's not light. We got a ton of sports. We got a huge card here, huge NBA card. Look, a 9-game college basketball card. We only had like, what, a 7-game card yesterday. Was it 7? And I came out with 7 bets. So we're golden. We're golden. Just sit back and let's get paid. In fact, this is a pretty great situation because we can put a little more energy into a smaller slate. I love this shit. Michael Paccioni in the house saying, great news, Kong. Praying helps. It does. It does. And knowing that people care and support, it helps. It helps because it's a cruel world out there, man. It's that's where do you think No New Friends came from? Now the No New Friends is not part of Pubapalooza 4, man. It's going to be so much fun. The Thursday is the official first day. That whole entire that our section of the bar, with the 12 TVs and the studio and all that, it's just going to be off the chains for round 1 of the NCAA finals. Friday, we have our poker tournament. And also on Friday, if you are not into the poker tournament, Spurs Sixers, not very expensive over in San Antonio. So you can go check out the Spurs Sixers, come back for the poker tournament or for the end of it. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. I can't wait. We got Pipe Layer in the house, Gifted Cartel ready to get to work. Wine Time Sports. Speaking of what these cappers have been doing, and it's important. We know Wine Time went over 60% in the regular season in college football, which was massive. But what else happened was he got off to a terrible start in NBA. And he was, it's time now when you publicly are losing, are you going to show character and fight back? Because all the other shows, they don't show their records, right? A lot of them are trying to sell their picks, and they can't sell their picks if they're honest, because they're honestly not successful cappers. This is what Wine Time has done in the last 5 shows with us. 5 shows in NBA. He went 3-1 5 weeks ago. Then he went 4-1. Then he went 3-1. Then he went 2-1. And then last week, he swept the board with 2+ money lines. So after the first 2 weeks, actually after the first 3 weeks here in NBA, Wine Time was 2-10. He was 2-10. He's now 22-19 plus 1.86 units, ROI plus 4.54%, average line minus 105. That is so impressive, and you're going to see cappers on the show dig holes for themselves that they have to climb out of, and it's very hard. And I'm in that hole in NHL right now. So shout out to Wine Time Sports. 5 weeks of glory in NBA, and we have a big NBA card, and we got to get that cash. And there's Dutch Boy Fresh, one of the OG NBA cappers on the Ski Profit channel, and a huge part of our channel. What a great NBA capper. And so also, as my schedule is going to be changing too, we're going to be bringing back in, because when football's over, I'll get back to my Tuesdays, Wednesdays. We're going to be bringing back the NBA cappers that we've worked with so often, like Dutch Boy Fresh. And next Thursday, the man who will be making his season debut here it's Durrell. I don't give a fuck shit what spread is. Play of the day, back in business for it's Durrell. Daryl Rice will be joining us next Thursday. We're going to get Dutch back in the rotation. We're going to get all of our guys back rolling again. here because NBA is a huge part of winter for all of us. So shout out to Hugh Janus in the house. Kelly McKinnis says morning Dutch and wine time. All right, let's get to work right now. Also, don't forget $100 race. We have a $100 race today. I'm enjoying the Camels very much. I want to race the Camels. Let's race the Camels. Let's get to work in NHL. We have one game. Ottawa Senators 13-2, 4-7-1 on the road at Carolina Hurricanes, 18-9-1, 11-3-0 at home. We're at the Lenovo Center in Raleigh, North Carolina. Let's get into the line history here for this one. I want to refresh and see. So these are the bets that scare me. They scare me very much. They're public. My ROI on totals in this type of a situation is not positive, but I can't help but bet it. And these are the types of situations that are a little different because the bet that I've made in the past when the line moves 30 or 40 cents in my favor, because I think we're all seeing the same thing, my ROI is negative. And because I'm just seeing the public play before the public. When the line doesn't move in my favor, which is interesting, I have a much better ROI. But it's certainly uncomforting. Let's get to work here because I don't understand. Now, there's one thing that Dustin Tokarski is something as a goaltender, I would just want you guys to keep your ear to the streets for. He's a 35-year-old journeyman who's now backing up Peter Kochetkov. He has only played in 5 games this year for the AHL team for the Hurricanes. And it wasn't even them. I think he was he was with the Chicago Wolves. And he had 2 shutouts in his 5 games, and he was spectacular. This 35-year-old journeyman who's earned this opportunity. I think when he is in net, and this almost kept me off of betting the over. I think when he's in net, that first game, when Dustin Tokarski is back in the NHL, the club is going to rally around him in a huge way. Now it might be against Columbus on Sunday, which would hurt the plan because then they'd be too big of a favorite. Now they would be on the road, but keep in mind Dustin Tokarski, when he gets this opportunity, they're going to rally around the 35-year-old journeyman this might be his last start of his career. Now, when he has a few starts for the Hurricanes, then you can start fading him because he's not an NHL caliber goalie per se. So that almost kept me off the over 6, but I just kept coming back. I was like, look, I know there's going to be a public play. But how in the world am I not on the over in this hockey game? These aren't your mama's Carolina Hurricanes, man. Now that Jordan Staal, Jordan Martinook, 2/3 of the third line still play defensively responsible. But this is a high-powered offense where Martin Necas is being absolutely spectacular this year. 14 goals, 29 assists, 43 points in just 28 games. Surprise, surprise, happening in a contract year. I had him last year in the hockey pool. He didn't do squat as zilch because it wasn't a contract year. Necas wants the bag, and he's going to get it. This team has so much depth at forward. The first line, Svechnikov, Aho, Roslovic. The second line, Kotkaniemi, Necas, and Robinson. And then this third line, you have Martinook and Staal and Seth Jarvis, who's a sniper. Of course, Seth will be on the top power play line with Svechnikov and Aho. Then you have Slavin and Burns, and then Orlov and Chatfield. Orlov is like a plus 18. There's players on the Hurricanes that are in the negatives, and Orlov is just spectacular. Ghostis Bear having a monster year, but you don't want him 5-on-5 very much. So you have this very strong offense, you have a good defense, and you have some of the worst goaltending in the league. With that worst goaltending, you take a look at the Senators. The Senators have so much offensive firepower. Tim Stützle having a very impressive campaign, 10 goals, 26 assists, 36 points in 28 games. And surprisingly, it's ex-Canuck Adam Gaudette who's second in goals with 13. Now he's got 13 goals and 2 assists. He's not a playmaker per se. That 2020 draft, a very famous one, they got Stützle in the 3rd round. Byfield went in the 2nd round. Stützle went in the third round, and that was the year the Senators had 2 top 5 picks. That 5th pick was Jake Sanderson, who is playing 24 minutes and 27 seconds a game. It's not Shabbat. It's not. It's Jake Sanderson who's the best defenseman on this team. 22 years old, playing 24, 27 a game. And then the offense. There's just too much offense. How is this not a 6.5? Wager Tech says Ullmark and Kochetkov expected per RotoWire. How is this not a 6.5? Now, the line is moving against me. Lex Steele on the Senators' money line, which is uncomforting. But I was like, I just don't. How do you not bet this over 6? I couldn't figure out a reason why not to. Carolina opening up at -208. They're now -197. We've had a small move towards the Ottawa Senators. We have 2 of the top 5 power plays in the National Hockey League as well. Now, the Carolina Hurricanes have really strong penalty killing, but Ottawa power play 27.6%, penalty killing 75.6%. Carolina power play 28.3%, penalty killing 84%. Ullmark has a .903 save percentage. I know he's been much better of late. The Senators come in off their 3rd win in 4 games, 5-1 at home over the Ducks on Wednesday, and they've improved defensively. They've only allowed 7 goals in their last 4 games, but am I supposed to sit here and believe that they're just, just because of who they've faced over the last few games, some weak opponents, that they're going to become defensive juggernauts? Look, I'm on the over 6 at -120. Over 6 at -120. Markel in the house. Irish King, Rodney Barton. Great to see all of you guys. Drewski's on the under 6. Yeah, if this was bet solely on market, if it was just a market bet, then yes, it certainly feels like the under is the sharp action. But I watch these teams play over and over and over again. 4 years, all of last year, the year before, 4 years, I only wanted unders with the Hurricanes at home. But this is a different Hurricane squad. You have such a strong team in front of you. You have an .894 save percentage. Kochetkov can't be trusted. But Drewski, there's no doubt about it that the under 6 is the sharp spot. But not for me. For me, it's Ottawa, Carolina. We have Philly Eagle Flyers saying still pissed. They only scored 3 on the Sharks. Hurricanes come off their second win in 3 games, 3-2 at home over the Sharks. They've won 2 of their last 6 games. I mean, I just think there's so much talent on the ice. The goaltending is weak. The power plays are stellar. Aubrey Travis says the Canes can strap up defensively if they want to. They can't. Oh, sure, they can play a defensive style. But when your goaltending is terrible, what does it matter? You're going to have to outscore the opponents. So it's not that I don't trust the 5 players on the ice. It's that I don't trust the dude in the pads. So, I rarely bet overs. It's less than 1 out of 10 total bets for me. Very, marginally less, but it's basically 1 out of 10, and I'm on the over 6. Over 6 at -120. I could have bet it with liquid at Pinnacle -117, but I sent it in at -120. That is our NHL breakdown. And then, yesterday was great. It could have been better if I hadn't have added in the Ducks, but I did like the Ducks spot. So yesterday, the bet I liked the most, Stars -1.5, was a loser, but Flyers -1 at +113 cash, Lightning -1 at +108 cash, Devils -1 at +115 cash, Oilers -1 at +121 cash, Panthers -1 at +108 lost. JT Miller came back. I was hoping he wasn't. And then the Ducks first period +0.5 -113 lost. So, but the black is coming, and it's not. We're not talking April. I expect to be in the black by January 1st. So there it is. And I'm excited. Sometimes when you're struggling in a sport, especially if it's your bread and butter, it can weigh you down. But this is not weighing me down. I want to attack these cards. I'm making mistakes. Look, the Capitals are better than I expected them to be. I'm trying to bet their team total under, but their schedule is so easy right now that I'm just waiting, and it keeps going up and up and up. So that is the NHL card for today. we move on to college basketball with our guy C-Mac, CMC Music Factory. So he's going to be jumping on here as soon as his camera is on backstage. I will bring him on. So let's get to work in college basketball right now, because we've got, I think, a very, very fun, exciting card. Now, a lot of cappers are saying that this card is trash. And, one man's trash is another man's treasure. We're coming off a 5-2 night last night. And just to review what happened last night, I've never seen a card like that. And that's why I had to attack it the way I did. And I just found it so fascinating. I swear, I honestly don't remember ever a card like this before. We had 3 huge double-digit favorites: Virginia Tech, Virginia, and Texas. Double-digit favorites. They were all coming off losses, and the public was all on the underdogs. I swear, I don't think I've ever seen that with 3 double-digit favorites where the public was all on the dogs and all 3 favorites were coming off of losses. Is that not perfect? That's why I bet first half full game on all of them. And I went 5-1. Virginia Tech first half cashed. Virginia Tech first half -8 cashed. Virginia Tech -14 full game cashed. Virginia first half -9 lost. Virginia full game -16 cashed. Texas first half -11 cashed. Texas full game -19 cashed. And then Iowa +5.5 was the other loser. If I had doubled up on that spot too, it was a different plan, so I'm okay with not doing it. But there we go. Okay, so let's get to work here and let's begin setting up the first games and bring on our college basketball and college football expert. His breakdown of Navy Army is up right now on our YouTube page. And I love working with him. Now, it's very easy for me to say that because he does all of the work and all I do is set up the games. And then I would listen to the chat and I, bet accordingly. So when I say what a fun card it is, look, I'm not doing the heavy lifting here. Our expert is doing the heavy lifting. We got cappers action coming in from cappers in the chat. Gifted Cartel on Merrimack. Rodney Barton on Boston U +5.5. We're going to copy and paste all of it. Thank you, Fat Wally, my friend. Thank you. Can't wait to see you in San Antonio, Fat Wally. I love it. Let's bring on our star of Friday college basketball here on Betting with the Bag. Also the star of Wednesday's Betting with Bouquet. I'm going to be working on a new intro for him because he is now, to me, CMC Music Factory, but he's also for a long time been a Migda Mac daddy coming to us from Las Vegas, Nevada. Conor Mac in the house. C-Mac, how are you?
What up? Jimmy, how we doing? James E. Bag.
I'm excited. I'm excited about this card. I'm excited about this opportunity. But in saying that, I do understand that the difficulty falls on your shoulders because these are very small schools and tricky spots. And we heard from our colleagues that they didn't like this card. We heard them talking about it last night on our live stream that you were a part of for the Niners Rams game. But I am excited because, god damn, I'm telling you, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And I love bum fights. Always have. And there's a few of them here. And there's teams that maybe shouldn't be as big of a favorite as they are. So let's get this set up here for us. So to set up our guy, C-Mac. And then let's go ahead and attack. So thank you guys for joining us. 9 games on the college basketball slate. We got Stacks play today on Nebraska. We got Big O, who will be live at that basketball game, and he's giving us notes. We have Dav Fenn's best bet. We have Morgan Spooner. We got Gifted Cartel. We got Rodney Barton's action. We got The Juice. I'm going to copy and paste all of this stuff so we can discuss it throughout. So let's get over here and get over to NCAA basketball, and let's roll. All right, C-Mac, we start at 7 p.m. Eastern. We have the Boston University Terriers, 5-5, 1-2 on the road at the Merrimack Warriors, 4-6, 1-1 at home. We're at North Andover, Massachusetts, Hamel Court. And we've already heard from cappers on both sides of the fence. So Gifted Cartel on Merrimack. We have Rodney Barton on Boston University. we have the juice on Boston University. Let's get into the line history and the cash flow. From a spread perspective, yes, this has moved down to 4.5. Opened up at 6, moved to 5, and then moved to 4.5. 30 minutes ago, exactly 30 minutes ago, it moves to 4.5. So a move towards Boston University. When we get to the total here, we have a very low 126.5 minus 117 to the over. This opened up at 125.5, moved to 126.5. So we have a slight move to the over. 56% of the tickets and 78% of the cash is on Boston U. Does feel like a sharp spot. 90% of tickets, 90% of cash is on the over. And these Terriers have won 2 straight, 4-5. The last win was against a non-Div 1 opponent. The last Div 1 opponent we saw them face was University of Albany, who have gotten off to a decent start to the season. Albany also shot very, very well against Boston University. Albany shot 57.9% from 3 and only turned the ball over 10 times, and yet Boston University came away with the win. It was basically a pick-em situation. Boston University was minus 120 on the money line and took care of business. Merrimack on a 3-game winning streak with all 3 coming on the road. They are 1-1 at home. They lost their last home game to UTSA, but 3 straight road victories. The last one in very impressive fashion, 80-62 over Niagara. They were 1.5-point favorites and won by 18. They were up 40-21 in the first quarter. And now they come back home after a real impressive performance. Take it away for us here, CMAC. Our first spot on the board: Terriers, Warriors in North Andover.
Yeah, this total's moved up a little bit too, right?
Oh, sorry,
2
my
points.
bad. I didn't even go over the total. Oh, yeah, sorry, it did. Yeah, 125.5 up to 126.5, but it's 127 at other books. This 126.5 is minus 117. But this, interestingly enough, CMAC, this opens up at 125.5 at 8:07 this morning. At 9:08 this morning, it's a 129. So it moves up 3.5 points. So since then, we're down 2.5 points, back to 126.5. At 9:30 this morning, this was a 128.5. So we've had the U-shaped movement.
Yeah, I see that. I just think that's just buyback here. Once it gets to a number, I see it every day when I go through these college basketball cards. That's why it's just so different. I think especially these small schools, there's so much movement, and maybe not a lot of people betting on these games. When you look at Merrimack, I think the initial move to the over, this team is really slow. And when they've been locked in the last few years, there have been an under that I've wanted to take. There have been a few of those. Last Friday, Canisius, we talked over that game, right, Jimmy? Canisius dog, the 8-point win, where it was way under. Then they come back and score more. They've just been so inconsistent scoring the basketball. Merrimack. They've had some good games against these bad schools, and they get 80 their next game against Niagara. So what do we get from them today? I don't know. If they're off, Boston's in this game for sure. When I looked at this last night, I was leaning heavy to them plus the 6. This is down to 5 now. There's even a 4.5. I agree. I just don't think Merrimack should be laying really anything that's over 4 or 5 to anyone right now, unless it's, I don't know, Prairie View. We start going to the real lowest of low schools. So I think Boston, you can hang around in this game. Boston doesn't shoot free throws well. Merrimack's been pretty good this year. They've shot the 3 all right, has Boston. They haven't been really great inside. These teams, aren't the best rebounding teams. So I think there'd be a lot less possessions. Even at this number, I lean under. I just think it was a little too light. And I lean Boston here. I just, when I woke up, there wasn't a 6. So I don't want to give it up.
Yeah, and the 5 here is, I think, going to be costly.
Then I definitely don't,
The plus 5 minus 122. This book, let's see what 365 is putting it. Because, I don't see how you I shouldn't say that. I'd be if I can't get a 5, I don't think I want in. I mean, it's so easy late in games with fouls for it to slip over that number. Yeah, it's just.
Oh yeah, I mean I mean, look at last night's game. I mean, it's just a few missed shots, a few made free throws. Iowa State wins. Jamie. I mean, when you look at the box score of that game, it's pretty dead even. The game was tied with 2:50 left, 2 something, and they let it slip away and lose, and Iowa State covers.
Wow. Okay, I guess. God, I mean, it feels like Boston University is the sharp action. I mean, we've seen them go out on the road. I mean, they're 1-2 on the road. Their victory was over UMBC, and they were 2.5-point dogs there. Huh. Okay. And then the total does scare me, and it's just because of last Friday. Those totals in the 125s, almost all of them last Friday. The first half went under.
I know.
And then the second half soars over, and you're sitting there comfortable, confident, and then second half soars over. And Aubrey Travis not touching this one. So, okay, yeah, I guess I'm interested in Boston.
It's Boston or nothing. I love if they were 5.5. I'd play it. I have it. Like I wanted the 6, but I'd take it 5.5. I mean the 4.5. We're just starting to get tight here.
Yeah. I'm interested in Boston at the 5. And then when this total shot up, I imagine that was appealing. I mean, I can still get a 127 here because not all the books are moving it down as fast as the one I'm looking at here. Because the offshore that I'm looking at has the 127 minus 120. But I can get a minus 127, minus 110 if the books were just slower to move. What was the number you were hoping to get on the under in this one? And
no, then I that was when if I got like 129 or 130 maybe. I mean Merrimack's been to, like I said, back and forth this year. Like I haven't really messed with their totals.
Well,
they've been going over for the most part.
And they're implying that Merrimack will control the pace at home. God,
their pace has been a little bit off. Like it's to some teams they played up with it. Obviously, they didn't score against Butler, but to me, they're still slow as all hell here. I mean, maybe they're 280. They're a little bit quicker. In the past few years, I mean, they're 330 or lower. And they're let's see where they're at.
Well, I'm interested in Boston University to keep this close here. Mr. Belvedere in the house says, "What are the key numbers for you in college basketball? Why 5.5, not 5?"
5 would have been all right. 2, we talked about it. I want everything I could get when a game like this. I want. So I saw 6s. I know we're doing the show. I didn't bet it. I was hoping we were going to get up and they'd be there still. We talked about it because it's basketball, the fouls, all the wanky shit that goes on. Just a couple missed shots and a rundown and a make. It's that fine, the line here,
The worst is, and we've talked about it often, but that the +5 dog and it goes to overtime.
And the loss, exactly. Yeah. And then my other one is taking the favorite at the classic, 7 number. Like, I got to love it. Because there's always if you get in the foul shot, let's say they're up 8 or 9, the classic foul back and forth, the miss, rundown, make, foul, the whole thing like that. It's that you got to have a lead over 10, so there is no fouls. So that doesn't happen,
Yeah. And then the question here is, do you want to pay for the 5 minus 122 offshore minus 130 at 365?
No, I would take a 4 and at 4.
Yeah.
I'd take plus money at 4. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on the line. I think that is the key number, the 5 for Boston, and then not with a ton of vig. Morgan Spooner says Boston owns Merrimack. This is big brother, little brother situation. No, I'd like to get involved. I just have to decide if the 4.5 is enough. Like the juice getting the Terriers a +5.5. I mean, the cappers who were ahead of this move are going to get paid. All right, let's roll on to the next spot on the board. 7 p.m. Eastern with the Army Black Knights, 5-4, 1-3 on the road to the George Washington Revolutionaries, who look so good, 8-2, 5-0 at home. We're at Charles E. Smith Center in Washington, D.C. By the way, Raymond Reichard saying this isn't the same BU team. Wrench Mob in the house. Great to see you. Let's get to work here for Army and George Washington. We'll start with the total. This total is 150. This offshore that we talk about often is really milking all the juice out of this one. Very strange. They get scared with these smaller schools, clearly, and they get beaten by them. And so you'll never see this book with 30 cents juice, 15 each way. But they have it here with the total. The under 151 right now is basically a pick 'em, but it's heavier juice. This has gone up from a 148.5. This was bouncing all over the place today. It started 148.5, opening up at 8:06 in the morning, got up, came back down, went back up again. So now we're at a point where we've gone up 2.5 points to the over. Let's go to the spread here. In this one, we have Army plus 12 at minus 110. They opened up at 11.5. They're now over at 12. So we have a half-point move towards the Revolutionaries. Let's take a look at the cash flow and see what we are dealing with here. From a cash flow perspective, we have a 50-50 proposition. I mean, it's 51% of tickets on Army, 49% of the cash. So very 50-50, 73% of tickets, 70% cash on the over. Army coming off a 103-84 loss at home on Saturday to Cornell. That was on the heels of a victory against the Dolphins in triple overtime, a wild one on the road. For George Washington, they played back-to-back road games. They were looking really good at home. They're undefeated at home. So they were rolling and winning games by margin. They lose 81-71 in overtime at American. And then they go to ODU and win 78-70. The Army's game was on Sunday. The George Washington game was on Saturday. They were 8.5-point favorites. They won by 8. They were down at halftime. It wasn't a very impressive performance, but maybe this one will be. Take it away for us here, CMAC, Army, George Washington.
Yeah, I think if you look at George Washington, if you don't want to lay the points, look at their team total. When you always take these ones, especially to go over, it all kind of comes down to the last few minutes sometimes. When the number is going to be around 80, because we'll get to another one that's a little bit later, where I think it's like that. This Army team is just playing fast here, Jimmy. This was the over for me when we were going through last night. There's one other one that I kind of lean with here with North Dakota coming up, and in the 140s, I think this was the play. 148. This has moved up to 150. I still lean that way. Army 23rd, up and down. They haven't played much defense at all. They've gotten a ton of shots every single game. And we look at their scores. They're giving up a ton. I mean, they just gave up 103 to Cornell, but another team that pushes pace. But at Manhattan, 80-79. Early Dickinson, 84-70, 91-88 against the Marist team that plays slow. I just don't see. I think George Washington can do whatever they want. Now, I don't think George Washington's a team that really going to shut down Army. That's why I think this over can go. I mean, it's possible, but I really don't trust their defense. All year long, they've been all right. They've had a couple wins. They've been a team that's been half to half. That's been a little bit head scratching. Like you talked about being down, then coming back. They've been a team I've backed a lot the last few years. Short prices or as dogs, Jimmy. This George Washington team really don't love them as favorites. So I lean Army here with the points in the over.
Leaning to Army and the over. It's a tough one. It feels like a sharp line, 50-50 action line, not moving. Jose, can we take a second and go back to the Boston University Merrimack spot here? Back to Boston University Merrimack. What catches me here, CMAC, is that at the number at 127, 127, the Merrimack this year has played in the first game against Vermont. So Vermont, VCU, those games would have gone under. Then the Princeton one. So the Princeton and Vermont go under by a point at this number. And then the Rutgers game soars over. The Butler game would have gone under just because Merrimack only put up 39 points, but Butler put up 78. And then all these games, UMass would have soared over. UTSA soars over. Troy soars over. The Canisius one goes under, and Niagara soars over. So 4 of the last 5 at that number soar over 127. And then when we look at Boston University, every single game other than the one game against Wagner would have gone over this number. Every single game they played all year would go over this number. So they're putting a number that's so low, and then the public is hammered. 89% of tickets, 90% of the cash is on the over. I mean, when you see that, I mean, doesn't that make you think that the books are like, I don't want to try to outsmart, like, I don't know if I really want to try to outsmart the market here, but the books are clearly putting it at a number where it got hammered to the over. And then like you said, it got to a number at 129 or 128 and the buyback started happening by the pros. I mean, why would they put, I mean, it's just one game all year. Boston University has played under 127 and they put that number up. It's just like a trap.
I mean, you know, and when these teams play, they've all been at this number for 4 straight years. 127, 125, 123, 127. 2 have gone over, 2 have stayed under. Yeah, I think they're going a little bit off that. And Merrimack, how they played, they've just been more over. Like, they've just gone over a little bit. Their offense they've been at a little bit quicker pace, where they consistently, for the last 4 or 5 years at least, just been one of the slowest in the country. You know, if this was later on the year, I'd have a better thing on it, because 125 and stuff like that, where it's a team like Merrimack, when they've cashed so much, it wouldn't be a problem. The numbers, it's just I haven't had enough so far this year. Here in December 13th.
Okay, it's so much to think about here. So we got time to let it marinate. Let's move back to the Army game. Thank you, Jose. Back to the Army, the George Washington spot. Nutflush Allen, it feels like, has taken your breakdown and found his bet. And that bet is the Army team total over. And that Army team total over is right now at 68.5, juiced pretty heavy to the over. That's offshore. And then here, in the legal American books like 365, we have the Army team total not offered. Damn. So I'd have to use liquid for it. What do you think of Nutflush looking at that Army team total over? Ron Crawford is also on Army, says spreadsheet Army 63%. What do you think of that spot?
Yeah, I think they can get there. You know, this is a little bit of a step up. Compared to some of these other teams, Manhattan, Marist, Fairleigh Dickinson, and you see him go to obviously Duke, who's been playing really, really good defense. They only scored 58. But I think they can get over this number. But that leads me to the full game over. George Washington is going to get to 80. And I still have close. Like, I hate this is the 151s. Even at 150, I like this over, because I really liked it at 148.
And I can get a 150.5. For record keeping purposes, I wonder if I can. Okay, we'll move on to the next ball on the board. But let me just see, for record keeping purposes, we can find a 150. No, because it's moving just quickly to. Oh yeah, 150 at where we used to play poker. Is that something you would want to make official, or do you want to move on?
Let's wait.
Okay, we move on.
Yeah, I see it here at South Point. I might move on this. Just give me a minute here.
Yeah, of course. I'll take your time. All right, let's move on to the next spot on the board for us here. We have 7:30 p.m. action. Georgia Southern Eagles 6-4, 1-3 on the road at the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs 8-2, 2-1 at home. We're at the Thomas Assembly Center in Ruston, Louisiana. Georgia Southern bounced back from their 2-game losing streak and it was on Saturday. On Saturday, they defeated North Florida, the Ospreys, 93-91 in overtime. It was a pick'em spot, and Georgia Southern took care of business. Shot 49.3 from the field, 37.5 from three, and it was an important victory for them. And now they head back out on the road. We saw them on the road. They've been on the road 4 games this year. The last 2 were pretty ugly, but against strong competition. They went into Drake. That was 2 weeks ago, 2 Saturdays ago, and they lost 61-47. They were 14.5-point dogs, so they covered it by a half point, but not a nice performance by Georgia Southern. The next time they went out on the road was 4 days after that. They on the 4th of November, they went and played VCU, and they got destroyed again, 89-54. This time they were 19.5-point dogs. They put up 23 points in the second half. They just completely fell apart in the second half. And in the Drake game here, it wasn't. They just looked bad throughout. So they've looked horrible on the road, but against tougher competition. We have Louisiana Tech coming off losses. The last time they were at home, it was a pretty disappointing loss to Southern, 73-70, 15.5-point favorites, and they lose, at home. So then they go out on the road and they play well against Memphis. They lose 81-71, and then they go to the Ragin' Cajuns and beat them 69-58. That was the last time we saw them, was on Sunday, winning 69-58. Now they were 6.5-point favorites there. But the last time, I wish this was following that debacle at home. Let's get to the line history here for Georgia Southern, Louisiana Tech. This total right now is at 144.5. 144.5. It's slightly juiced to the over, but it's come up from 141.5. If you're to believe that, you know what? That's a mistake. This is a mistake. So don't take, that was just a mistake here. It's come up from 145.5. Opened up 145.5 at 5:21 p.m. It got up to 146, and now it's back to 144.5. So we've dropped a point. That is the real situation here. Then on the spread here, we have La Tech minus 11.5 at minus 104, opening up at minus 11, now minus 11.5. And when we get to the cash flow for this spot, we have 43% of the tickets and 42% of the cash on La Tech, 86 and 82 on the over. Take it away for us here, CMAC, Georgia Southern, Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, this number, I think, is about right. That everything that I put through last night. On the total real quick, it's, dropped a couple points. I thought it was a little bit high, but I don't want to mess with it at all. If Georgia Southern, this team doesn't play any defense. The problem is, can they bring the shots here on the road and make them consistently? They just beat North Florida 93-91, but I saw them go on the road. This has been the problem. The VCU game in Drake, it's pretty decent teams just get their ass kicked. The offense not there, and that defense who just gives up a ton. Ole defense, as I like to say, horrible. Louisiana Tech's been pretty good. You mentioned the cover there against Memphis. That game was a little wild there at the end. They play better here at home. They've been good team rebounding, great team blocking, shit like that. They've been really, really good. And they've been decent shooting the ball this year. Almost 50%. That's 33rd. A bunch of the numbers have been pretty good. They're a decent free throw shooting team. Can Georgia Southern, their guards and stuff, hit enough shots? If they are, I think they could maybe hang within this number, but I couldn't get there, so I passed.
Super true story moving on La Tech. Super true story went 5-0 yesterday. And the only the only thing different than those double-digit favorites that we cashed with yesterday, Super True, is just that La Tech isn't coming off of a loss. They're coming off of 2 good games. And then, it was do we think that the loss at home 2 weeks ago will be in their memory? I don't know. I don't have a. I'm going to see how much action I have on this college basketball card, because if I don't have enough, or if I don't have much, I'm going to move on La Tech. I was pretty upset with how I handled last Friday's breakdowns with you. There were spots where I was kind of close to, and I didn't move on, and those leans cashed, and then the ones I moved on lost. I went 0-2, and I should have had more volume. And so I will move on La Tech here if I don't have enough. It doesn't perfectly correlate for me. Let's roll on to the next spot on the board. 8 p.m. Eastern. We have North Dakota Fighting Hawks, 4-6, 1-4 on the road at Jose's UTSA Roadrunners. We are at the UTSA Convocation Center in San Antonio, Texas, home of Pubapalooza 4. The UTSA Roadrunners 3-5, 2-1 at home. Let's take a look at this one. We'll start with the line history here, and then we will go into the cash flow. Line history-wise, we have UTSA as 8-point favorites. Now, it's a no vig situation at 8, but this has come down from 6.5. We have a 1.5-point move towards the Roadrunners. On the total for this one, we have a 153. It's juiced to the under at -111. It hasn't moved. Now, this just came out, though. This line's been out for 30 minutes, this total. So I imagine that we're not going to get any cash flow information here. Let's just see if we get anything. And we get no cash flow information, which was expected. But the fact that this has moved 1.5 points kind of tells the tale here. We have UTSA off 2 losses against tough competition. They lose at St. Mary's, and then they lose at Arkansas. That was the last time we saw them, was on Saturday, losing at Arkansas. 19.5-point dogs. They covered. They were up 32-27 in the first half. You know, it was a pretty impressive performance all told. I mean, I know they were outscored by 20 in the second half, but still impressive. North Dakota, at home, they beat Weber State, but on the road, they're 1-4. We just saw them look horrific against Utah Valley. They lose 80-57 as 10.5-point dogs. They shoot the ball terribly. And they were in this game. They were down 35-31 at the half. Interesting spot. Take it away for us, C-Mac. The Fighting Hawks, the Roadrunners.
Yeah, we talked about that game on Wednesday. That was the problem, where I really didn't want either team but Utah Valley had been so good at home, but they had just been getting their ass kicked on the road. They hadn't really played at home much all year. I think they had a game or two, and North Dakota had already beat them. It was going there. They play a decent first half and then just get their ass kicked in the second, and kind of 45-26 in that game. I think they're better in this one. One thing with UTSA, I think they looked all right this year. Another team, consistently the last few years that have been an over team that could get up and down. Offense, they're 207. Defense still down, 305 in the country. They got a good player. Primo Spears is the guy. He averages 23 points. He's been the go-to. I mean, when you're college basketball, you're averaging over 20 a night. I mean, you are the guy. So they looked to him. But 8's out there now. The team that I think they can win this. They're only they're 2-1 at home. They had a bad loss to, who was this? Arkansas Little Rock Trojans. I'm not so sure. And I wanted to double check lastly here. Wow, free throw shooting is great. They're 82% this year, second or third, wherever you look. They haven't been great from 3, but you gotta like that if they're at the line here with a 7 or 8. But I don't trust their defense. So I can't lay the points when they're just going to have to shoot lights out and win by 15 or more. Then you don't have to deal with that. You know what I mean? So if that happens, yeah. But I don't know if I can trust it.
I just wish that North Dakota wasn't coming off getting destroyed. I mean, how do they not bounce back? They must, right? There must be some balance. I mean, I'm not saying it's enough to cover anything like that, but it sucks because UTSA's in this great spot on the road off of 2 very, much tougher competition. They're gonna want to smash and grab North Dakota. I mean, look at that last. Now they barely got past Merrimack, but then. And I guess they barely got past Houston Christian as 12.5-point favorites. They win by 7.5. I mean, can we trust them to win by double digits here?
I don't.
And the juice is on the Roadrunners. Okay, I don't know if I can trust them to do that. They haven't been showing us they can do that, and then we have the issue of North Dakota just getting embarrassed by 23 points. So I'm going to need to figure this one out. Clark Edge in the house. Morgan Spooner says these teams play in 2 days. Both home teams cover for me. Yeah, I can get that here. Okay, I'm going to need to sit with this one a little longer. It's just it's not jumping off the page here.
Yeah, there's a back-to-back here.
Let's move on to a big one. And the lone big one here. We have Indiana, Nebraska. Indiana Hoosiers 8-2, 1-0 in the Big Ten at the Nebraska Cornhuskers 6-2, 0-1 in the Big Ten. We're at Pinnacle Bank Arena in Lincoln. Wine Time says Nebraska at home -4. Still value in the -4, even though it opened at -2. Big O says Indiana versus Nebraska under 152. Now, he put this out last night. We'll see what the lines have gone. And he says, I will be at the game. He says, if you think Nebraska will win, take the under and the Huskers money line. Dav Fenn on Nebraska first half. Clark Edge with his play of the day. Clark Edge, that's an exciting play of the day because we're going to get to that soon. But thank you for sharing that with us because it's we have a corner of a boulevard that I'm excited to talk about. But let's get here to this spot. Indiana versus Nebraska. Let's get into the line history and get into the cash flow. Line history, we're going to start with the total. We have a 155. Wow. So this has gone in the opposite direction here. Interesting. And it didn't climb until, because this came out at 5:22 p.m. yesterday. This started climbing this morning. Wow. So at 7:27 this morning, this had moved 1 cent to the over. Now we've moved 2 points and 2 cents. So a big move towards the over. On the point spread here, we have Nebraska as 4-point favorites. Now, Wine Time is right. At the book where we played our poker tournaments in, that's generally first to the market, they open this up at 2.5. Here we have a 3.5 at 5:22 p.m. yesterday. It gets up to 5. This was at 5 at 8:23 this morning. So we've had a full point of buyback from the 5. Now we only have a half-point move to Nebraska. So we have the U-shaped movement. When we get to the cash flow here, we have 59% of the tickets and 71% of the cash on Nebraska, 76% of tickets and 77% of cash on the over. And we have Indiana on a 4-game winning streak. Now, all 4 of those games were won at home. And when you go through their schedule, there is only the neutral sites. They've not played a road game yet. This is not an easy place to play. So this is the Hoosiers' first road game of the year. You have Nebraska coming off an embarrassing loss at Michigan State. They lose 89-52. They get outscored 48-21 in the second half. They go 33.3 from the field and just 18.2% from 3. I mean, this is starting to scream at me. They go 4 of 22 from 3. I mean, how could they not bounce back in this spot here? Oldie in the house. We got Jake Burns ready to go. Jake Burns, it was a profitable night in the NHL, but I was quite confident in the Stars. And, of those -1s, went 4-1 and then lost the -1.5. So it was, I was confident in Dallas. It hurt. So Lexdale says Indiana could win. Yeah, no doubt about it. That's why it's a low spread. But good God, isn't this set up perfect for the Nebraska bounce back against the Indiana team playing their first road game? Take it away, C-Mac.
Yeah, this number is got out, from 2.5, 3.5, where you're up to 4.5, 5 even. Have you seen some bounce back? That's what I thought here, Jimmy, when I was going through this. The first road game here for Indiana, all those games were neutrals. With the 2 losses to Louisville, Gonzaga, and the Providence win was neutral as well. First road game here for them. A place where they used to go to Nebraska and win I mean, Nebraska basketball way down, and Indiana had no problem going there. And when Nebraska, the last couple of years have been better. I was looking at this first half here, -2. I think they shoot it a lot better after a horrible, game that they had against Michigan State. One thing, they haven't shot the three great, this Nebraska team. Bryce Williams needs to be all right. I mean, he's only 1 of 3. Even Gary, I mean, some of their better players had bad games. But Bryce Williams, their best player, needs to be big in this one. So I like them early here. Give me Nebraska -2 first half. I think they shoot it better. Home game here. Indiana on the road. First road game. Give me the -2.
I love the first. I want to double dip into this one. This is, and like, I can understand Mr. Belvedere saying that, that Nebraska's been rather unimpressive, but it just feels like that perfect situation to bounce back against a team who's looked very good but hasn't been in a tough environment to do it. It just seems like it all kind of comes together for me. We can get you that -2 with no vig. Let me see if I can get it, or -110. Sorry, with regular vig. Let me see if I can get that with less than -110 here quickly. We have the minus.
I think Nebraska's looked all right. I mean, they lost by 3 to St. Mary's on a neutral. At Creighton, they beat them by 11. Nice blowouts, and then the horrible game, Michigan State.
Love having
6 days ago too. They've had some nice rests here too. And we're talking about this on Wednesday. You got to look. Do they have one more game, or is this it before the break? On these schedules, I've been meaning to look at these. Yeah, December 22nd is their last game, and they're on another long break till the 30th. Wow.
Well, yeah. I really like this spot, and I like that there's been a little buyback too. I like it. A shout out to Brandon Cummings, one of the most OG of the OG low baggers. Gotta just go back to 2017 capping with Brandon, a great guy. He says, I think this total is too low in the last 2 road games versus Nebraska. The dog, Indiana was dog both times, +4.5, +5.5. Both games, Indiana scored less than 77.5 points, 77 and 66. And says, however, though, Indiana didn't get their team total. Both games went over, though, even though Indiana didn't get their team total. Wow, that's wild. I like where C-Mac's at here. Nebraska first half -2 at -110. We got Who Bangin' Sports Talk in the house. Who Bangin', our guy, DJ Big Boss, liking the over. I was also sent a very impressive text message from DJ Big Boss earlier in the week, and shared it with Jose right away. All right. I'm interested. Very, very interested. Who banging on the over? I want to double down here on Nebraska. I love this spot. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. So we're gonna play of the days coming in from our cappers in the chat. The first one is here in Cedar Falls, Iowa. The NCAA play of the day from our very own Ron Crawford is in action here. Ron Crawford, NCAA play of the day is Omaha. Omaha Mavericks 4-7, 2-4 on the road at Northern Iowa Panthers 5-4, 4-1 at home. We have the Nebraska Omaha look from our guy Ron Crawford. So we have a 9 here. This opened up at 8.5, dropped down to 8, and then jumped back up to 9 about 31 minutes ago. Not about, exactly 31 minutes ago. So we've gone a half point in the direction of Northern Iowa from 8.5 to 9. When we get to the total, we have this at, oh shit, my bad. That was first half. I'm sorry. God. That's you were thinking, why is this so low? Sorry, let's do this again. We have Northern Iowa -14.5, They opened up minus 13, got up to 15, and then we've had a little bit of buyback. So we're sitting at 14.5. So we have a 1.5 move towards Northern Iowa. On the total here, we have a 142.5 juice to the under. This opened up at 139.5. Opened up at 5:22 p.m. yesterday. There was no movement on this over till 8:30 this morning. And when it first moved up to 140.5, there was buyback to 140 immediately. And then it started climbing 2.5 points to 142.5. We're at our high watermark on the over. Wine Time says, love Northern Iowa here. Lim Belvedere, loving Northern Iowa here. Clark Edge leaning to Omaha here. Defen, my man. Defen, I listen, man. I listen to your action always and forever, man. So we have 23% of the tickets and 35% of the cash on Northern Iowa. We have 84% of the tickets and 85% of cash on the over. I wonder if I should just bet that Nebraska now and get that in here just in case it moves. Take it away for us here, CMAC, Omaha, Northern Iowa.
Yeah, Northern Iowa, it's flat out the better team here, but 15 points, and they've had some blowouts. This last game, they've been shooting the ball pretty crazy all year long. I think they're 6th in the country or 41%. Oh, look at that. But they shot 50%, 62% from the floor the last game where they scored 100 on Northern Illinois. I don't know if that happens again. One thing about Omaha, Nebraska, Omaha, their defense isn't good, but they've been able to score and stay in games all year long. I saw them early on here against UNLV. They lost by 11. UNLV is down. I'm not going to pick this year, but they've hung around in a lot of these games, even on the road. And I thought this was a ton of points. Northern Iowa's been so hot shooting it and covered some numbers already this year at home. And look, they've lost. St. Bonaventure, they lost at home by 12, some of the better teams. But a team that's down, Western Illinois, the Leathernecks, they beat them 82-56. So I worry if they just get dummy hot here and run away. But I lean the plus 15 here. With that, I'm close to pulling the trigger in Nebraska. Omaha.
I mean, do you really want to back a team as 15-point favorites after they completely demolish their opponent? They play
for
101 points. They shoot 61.8 from the field and 50% from three. 18.5-point favorites, and they win 101-57. And my answer is no. I don't want. I mean, I can understand why you would think they're so good here. And there's Yellow Jesus in the house, still rocking with you over 7 years. I love that. Yellow Jesus. It's been a while since we've had Yellow Jesus bless our action. Yellow Jesus in the house, man. Yeah, I guess I mean, I can understand why someone would think I can completely understand why anybody would think that Northern Iowa is a very good team, shooting the ball very well. But that has to be an outlier performance. You have Omaha coming off a victory on the road. And now, yes, it was against Sacramento State, but, 1.5 dogs. They played good basketball, played clean basketball. I think that the idea here would be probably Omaha first half, because if I'm betting that they're not going to be able to shoot the ball so spectacularly well a week later, they'll probably find their game at some point during it. And we know that they have a huge skill set. What do you think of Omaha first half here?
Yeah, I like it. I've been really only using these when I get a ton, like 4 or 5 more points on these massive dogs. I mean, they're like 26 or higher, and I get like 19 points or 20 points. Like I'm getting a 4-point disparity taking the first half than this. This is just dead on. You're getting 8.5, right in the middle. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I would take the 8.5. Yeah.
I like
unless Northern Iowa's hot again. I mean, I don't know if that continues. I just don't think it does. But maybe a little bit more at home than on the road.
Yeah, I will take this is the kind of situation where I would like to challenge these kids to do it again. Here, sorry, I'm trying to get this in here for that Iowa spot, so I don't want to get that 4. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm in there. Just got to press the button. Okay, so yes, Omaha first half is a look that I'm going to move on. The question is, with this line, should I wait? I mean, it feels like this line's moving towards Northern Iowa. I mean, their 15s are coming. Oh, I guess it came back from 15.
There's a couple books. I know. I was like, if I could get 15 at 16, that's what I was just going to wait. But
no, I think that's the responsible thing to do is wait and see if we can get a better number. But I like it. I like Omaha first half. Brandon Cummings likes the Mavericks to keep it close. I like it. So I am set here. Okay, the cards coming together. Let's move on to the next spot on the board here. We'll set it up and have C-Mac back in action with us. Young native Tino in the house. And Gifted Cartel going first half and full game there. Brandon Cummings, by the way. Oh, and Rogue Energy says Omaha plus 14.5 says Northern Iowa overvalued for some reason. Well, they just looked so spectacular last week. Bet Rivers has it at 15. I'm not going to take the full game, though. I'm going to take the first half because, again, I'm going to challenge them to not shoot as spectacularly right off the hop. And I'm only going to take first half. We'll see how that bangs out in the end here. But let's roll on. Brandon Cummings says Omaha's gone over 5-0 last 5 road games. I like it. I like it a lot. I like the spot a lot. Great to see you guys. Okay, let's roll on to the next spot on the board. Western Michigan 3-5, 1-3 on the road. St. Thomas, Minnesota 7-4, 4-0 at home. The Tommies are St. Paul, Minnesota for this one. There was a lot of talk about this game on our show last night. Should St. Thomas be this big of a favorite against any team in the league? They opened up as 10.5-point favorites. They're now 12-point favorites. That's a pretty legitimate move towards the Tommies. When we get to the total here for this one, we have a 148 at minus 117, opened up at 148. So we've had 7 cents of movement towards the under. When we get to the cash flow here for this one, we have 69% of the tickets and 92% of the cash on St. Thomas. Wow. Just 26% of the tickets and 36% of the cash on the under. Big belief in this game, and I'm a little surprised that the market's still continuing to move. The Tommies have won 3 straight. They just beat Montana at home last Saturday. Western Michigan's been off for a while. They played Youngstown State, and then they played at Dayton. They've been off since the 3rd. That last game at Dayton, they lose 77-69. They were 24.5-point favorites, and they were up 3 at the break. They shot 53.7 from the field, and it wasn't an outlier game statistically. They didn't shoot the ball well from 3. Let's get C-Mac here back in business with us. It wasn't an outlier spot. They shot 5 of 17 from 3. You know, they played 2 good road games back to back. Now, I'm not going to run to get ahead of this market move, but they played pretty well. They go into Youngstown as 9.5-point dogs and beat them by 11. Now that game there was an outlier from 3, 66.7% for 3, but you knew that they were going to be worse. Shout out to bomb.com. Gifted Cartel says Western Michigan not fixing to go to St. Thomas and handle his guys. Let's talk about that last game here for St. Thomas. They were 5.5-point favorites over Montana, and they win 88-81 and play some really good basketball, 50% from the field and 40.9% from 3. An interesting spot here. Take it away for us here, C-Mac, Western Michigan, St. Thomas, Minnesota.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's just St. Thomas just playing that well that they're, 11.5-point favorites, almost 12 points. Now, they've just been consistent kind of all year long, against better teams. They've been all right defensively, not the best. Obviously, they laid an egg in that crazy game we talked about. First Wofford and then run off. I had to jump right back on them, Jimmy. I was so pissed watching that game because I knew they were a lot better. And, they've shot 39% from 3. They've been just very good offensively, and it's shown. the last few games. So like Billy talked, if you don't want to lay it, I think their team total is 80? I think they could get there. Western Michigan, though, like you talked about, I've been surprised in some of these games this year where they've lost tight ones, at home. They beat Canisius bad. That last game against Dayton where they hung around. I don't know what we get. And I saw them earlier in the year go to Ohio. Coastal, where they have a tight game. Then they got their ass kicked against Butler. Butler playing a little bit better this year. So it's just been tough. They're a team that needs to get the ball inside a little bit more because Western Michigan not the best shooting team. So can they do this on St. Thomas? I don't know. I haven't bet them enough, to tell you the truth, Western Michigan, to want to back them and take the points here. So I'm off.
Yeah, I think the market is telling us that the Tommies are the real deal here. I'm surprised with how strong Western Michigan's looked the last two games that they would be moving. Yeah. They would be moving so heavily towards St. Thomas, Minnesota. So there's no way I'm going to say that's wrong. So I guess I'm just going to stay off of it here. And maybe it is the Tommies that are the play, but Western Michigan's looked like a road warriors the last little while. Now they've had this long break. I'm going to be off of this spot. Let's move on to the next game here. Weber State Wildcats 4-6, 0-4 on the road at Utah Tech Trailblazers 2-9, 1-1 at home. We're at Burns Arena in St. George, Utah. Wrench Mob looking at the double result there. This is a fun one because we have a couple things going on. We have the Clark Edge play of the day on Weber State -2.5, but that's not all. We have reached the corner of Clark and Taint Boulevard. Taint play the day, Weber State -2.5. Let's get this one all set up and break it down. Let's go into the line history here. We'll start with the total. This total is a 143. It's really a 144. It's heavily juiced to the over. I'm not sure why they're not moving it, but this opened up at 142.5, and it went up to 144 about 2 hours ago. Dropped back to 143, but it's a 143.5. It's -120 to the over. So we still have a 1 point move towards the over. On the point spread here, we have Weber State now -3.5. This opened up at 3 and dropped to 2.5. This was 2.5 from 8 this morning until 10:15 this morning when it moved all the way up to 3.5, back to 3, and now at 3.5. So we have this half-point move towards Weber State. Let's take a look at the cash flow. We have 73% of the tickets and just 57% of the cash on Weber State, 83 and 82 on the over. Weber State coming off back-to-back losses. On Saturday, they lose 80-75 to North Dakota, and they'd lost 77-73 at home to North Dakota State before that. So back-to-back losses. In that loss to North Dakota, they were 2.5-point favorites. It was a very, very tight game. They shot the ball better than North Dakota, but were out-rebounded badly, 40-28, and lost. Here we have Utah Tech in the throes of a 3-game losing streak. All have come on the road. The last time we saw them at home was back on November 26th. They beat up on the Denver Pioneers, just 2.5-point favorites, but they played good basketball, shot 43.1 from the field, only turned the ball over 9 times. We're up 10 at the break and extended that here. What was the spread? Sorry, I think I just said it to you. The spread in that one was 2.5. So the last home game they played well. I can understand people expecting Weber State to be the better basketball team. Take it away for us here. Taint play today and the Clark Edge play today, both on Weber State. Floor is yours, my man.
Yeah, I think they are a little bit the better basketball team, but even 2.5, 3, I can't take them at all. And maybe they play better off the back-to-back losses. There's just been lulls for them. Like, some of the numbers look better defensively, but watching this team, they haven't been good. And maybe this is a gettable game for them on the road, because they were 0-4 this year, is Weber. And I really don't want to lay points on them, even a short number like this. And, this is another one with a Utah Tech team, aka old Dixie College here in Utah. They haven't played really at home. They played it was opening night, but they lost by 12 to New Mexico State. A bunch of neutral roads, lose. They've been awful. Like, the numbers are bad. They've been bad shooting. It's just all over the place from the free throw line. Then they come back home, beat Denver, not a great Denver team. They go back on the road and lose. They do play better at home, just traditionally. It's fact, year in, year out. If you do want to back them, it's here. So, this gets even higher than 3. I might look their way, but this is something I didn't want to get involved with.
We have the Skunt Blaster blasting away on Utah Tech. Kenny, couple props. I'm going to talk about them during our basketball breakdowns. And he's got both teams to score in the first period in the hockey game tonight. Thank you for sharing that with us, Kenny. We're moving into NBA next. It's great to have all the action here from the Cappers here in the chat. So thank you very much. Morgan Spooner says Weber's team is hitting stride before conference play. The starting lineup rotation has changed since the Nevada blowout.
But I haven't seen enough. Like, I'm just, for me, like, I don't want my money on it. Like, I thought they start playing better. Conference play, and I like Weber more. I owe them at home. This isn't a crazy trip or anything, but that's when I was going to start looking to back them, maybe a little bit, because I have it at all.
I
been calling them out. Now, I don't know about that, but I just don't think they've been very good.
I certainly respect Taint and the Clark Edge's plays of the day, so I'm going to spend a little more time on it, but I'm not moving on it now. The only thing I have bet Nebraska first half and full game -2 and -4. So we are in business. Let's go into our final spot on the board here. I like it. This card's opened up for me. I'm going to be able to add after the show as well, with the market marinating for a little bit longer. So I love the work you've done here, CMAC. And we got Rick J in the house. Rick J, you've been running real nice in the chat, man. Looking forward to hear your edges and angles. We got NBA coming up next with wine time. We have 9 p.m. Eastern. South Dakota State Jackrabbits 8-4, 0-2 on the road. The Colorado Buffalo 7-2, 6-0 at home at the CU Event Center in Boulder, Colorado. Let's get into the line history and the X's and O's. These Jackrabbits have lost 2 of their last 4 games, both on the road. Those are their only 2 road games they played all year. Colorado 6-0 at home and just beat up on their weak rival, Colorado State. Let's get into the line history. Let's get into what happened here in that Wolfpack win over the Jackrabbits. 77-63. Now, South Dakota State was 11.5-point dogs. And Nevada shot 55.6 from the field and only turned the ball over 8 times. And now the interesting thing, though, was South Dakota State was in control of this game. They were up 37-30 and then got destroyed in the second half by 21 points. Let's see if something similar happened in that first road game they played. And it was the opposite. So, Montana was up 11. They climbed back in the second half.
Yeah.
Now, that was a pick'em situation that they lost by 4. So they haven't covered their 2 road games. In both road games, they've had a half. That was a real problem. Colorado, I guess you could say it was a bounce back from the big loss to Iowa State. I guess they didn't cover. They beat Pacific by 9 as 14.5-point favorites. And then they played Colorado State. So South Dakota State's loss at Nevada was just on Wednesday. Did you guys cap that game, CMAC?
We talked about it for a minute. Yeah.
Talked about it. So that was just on Wednesday. So now, they're traveling over to Colorado. In this game against Colorado State, Colorado was completely in control from the jump. I mean, it was 35-14 with 6 minutes left in the first quarter. They completely dominated Colorado State. So they just shot 50 from the field. They turned it on when they needed to, which is something that they're more than capable of doing. And they have a rest advantage. Let's get into the line history. From a spread perspective, we have Colorado -9.5, open up -8.5, dropped to 8 and then started moving in the right direction. This got up to 10 though. We still have a 1-point move towards the Buffalo, and then when we have a total here, we have a 143.5, slightly juiced to the over, but this is opened up at 146. So a big move to the under. 1-point move towards Colorado. Only 36% of tickets and 15% of the cash is on Colorado. That's interesting. The books seem to not care that the public's backing San Diego State. 85% of tickets and 86% of cash on the over. Huh. And Scumplaster says San Diego State plus 9.5 is the look. The Jackrabbits are a feisty squad that will get up for this. Will be a tight game. Rick J says San Diego State looked like two different teams from the first half to the second half last game. And Brandon Cummings says, does anyone get player props on South Dakota State? Has been giving up an average of 13.8 points to starting small forwards on the road. Andre for Colorado may be worth a look. Rogue Energy on the Jackrabbits plus 8.5. AEOD on South Dakota. Yenny, yes, we did break down, and we're on Nebraska. Yenny, we're on Nebraska. Take it away for us here. And I doubled up first half of a full game. Rogue Energy says the Jackrabbits are battle tested. I can't wait to hear this breakdown. Take it away, C-Mac.
Yeah, they played Belmont. Okay. I mean, yeah, they played I think some decent teams. You know, they were at home for that game at Boise, against Boise, where they lost by 1. Boise a little bit down. Washington State just went in there and beat them. And that was one thing we talked on Wednesday about that game. Nevada was off back-to-back losses. And even, I think, at home was one of them, or were they both of them at home? Jimmy?
Oh, sorry.
Hold on.
I was going over the comments.
Here, I can look at. No, I can look at.
The losses were for Colorado were at home. They're separated by the Connecticut win. They lost to Michigan State 72-56 and then got destroyed by Iowa State 99-71.
Yeah, and they've been back home and the 2 wins. But Nevada was off to back-to-back losses. One on the road, then one at home. So that was why, you know, when we talked about it, I couldn't take the points with South Dakota State. I thought it was just a get-right game. And it took to the second half. They kind of were a little bit more turnovers, missed shots, and they did it because the game was pretty close. Even through the start of the second half, and it just ran away with it the last 15 minutes. I'm not impressed with this Colorado team. I don't know what we're getting here. This used to be the place that backed them was at home. It used to make me a ton of cash. They were always pretty good. Good from the free throw line. This is just way better than they were on the road, was at home. I don't think they've looked pretty good. I mean, on that neutral floor, they beat UConn, and then they've looked like shit. They got beat up by Michigan State and Iowa State. And they come back home and take care of Pacific Colorado State. Colorado State that's not very good this year either, this team. At least not now. Went until conference play. So I think they're a little bit alive too. I was hoping to get double digits. I mean, we're almost there because I think Jackrabbits can hang around in this basketball game.
Interesting. Are you going to wait till there's double digits? Because there might be, even though the bigger bets are coming in on South Dakota, but the plus 10.
Yeah, I'm going to wait.
Plus 10, I can get minus 119 right now, which is too much big. Let me just see here what I can get here. We can get yeah, that's it. So we're going to wait for double digits for South Dakota.
Yeah, I'm going to wait. And I still don't know if I want to pull the trigger. Because I don't know what Colorado team I've seen them win big and easily and have big second halves. And I've seen them not look very good here at home a couple of games as well and not cover the number. You just talked about Pacific.
Yeah.
They went by 9 as 14.5 point dogs. They got me earlier in the year. So.
And then, of course, they get up against Colorado State and destroy them in the first half. That game means something to them. South Dakota State coming to town probably doesn't. So, interesting. I'm going to take a little more time with this spot here. Big O in the house. Big O, yeah. The first thing we did was talk about your thoughts on this game, and said he's surprised to the move to the over. Says Huskers Bigs match up well, thinking Indiana won't shoot well. Weather is causing me trouble to get to the game. I hope that works out for you, Big O. I did move on the Huskers, man. First half and full game. C-Mac moved on them first half. Let's review all action here. And Stacks play today number 2 is the Nebraska Cornhuskers at minus 4.5. We'll talk about Stacks play today number 1 here in NBA shortly. Morgan Spooner also on Weber State -2.5 and South Dakota State. So Morgan Spooner's card, Boston +4.5, Weber State -2.5, South Dakota +9.5. Rodney Barton on Boston +5.5. Lex Steele on Boston +5.5. Gifted Cartel on the other side on Merrimack -4.5. The Juice on Boston +5.5. I'm interested in Boston. I want to see if I can get a 5 with decent vig. CMAC leaning to Boston in the under. Nutflush Allen looking at the Army team total over. CMAC leaning to the over and Army. I have some interest in La Tech. I want to spend a little more time on it. And I have interest in UTSA. But I did pull the trigger on Nebraska. We have CMAC on it first half. I moved on it first half and full game. We each got the -2 at -110. And I also got the -4 at -110. I'm going to move on Omaha first half. I'm going to move on them first half. I'm going to test Northern Iowa, see if they can shoot so spectacularly well like they just did. So I'm going to test them on that. But I'm going to wait. I want to see if I can get a better line. Taint play today and the Clark Edge play today, Weber State, and also Morgan Spooner on Weber State. And then we have a CMAC lean towards South Dakota State and other cappers on them here. A chosen one, though, on the under 144.5 in South Dakota State.
I like that. That's come down, from 140, 146, 145.5. I get the move.
Great stuff, CMAC. Thank you so much for rocking with us. We have CMAC's breakdown of Army Navy on our website right now, and will be our showcased video at some point this evening as well. Chosen one has interest in the under 146 in the La Tech game. Rogue Energy moving on Omaha plus the points. CMAC, the star of Hitting the Books, the college football show alongside Bobano on the Hitting the Books YouTube channel. Every single bowl game up until Christmas Day has been capped by the fellas. So check that out and support it. Also support our guy CMAC on X. I'm going to pop his X handle here in the chat. Mondays is for football and Fridays are for basketball. This is a strange card here. Are you guys going to hammer this card today?
I don't know. Maybe not. We might talk about some Saturday games.
Okay.
If they're posted. Yeah.
Okay. Here is CMAC's X handle. Please support our guy Conor Mac. Excuse me. CMAC, thank you so much for rocking with us. I don't mean to do this publicly, but I want to get you back on NFL Pub Hub, and I want you to have time to plan for it. So let me know if you're available for this Sunday. I have you listed, but with a question mark. Is that possible?
I'll let you know. I moved here on this. I'm waiting. I'm going to wait on the Omaha. I think maybe we could give it a better number here in that game. And of course, I'm going to wait on South Dakota. But there's 150. Give me that over 150 Army, George Washington. It's not the quite number I had. Last week, Jimmy, it's happened to me a couple times. The 144, which I had, cash, the 145 at books we can't use, and it got me. So that's the only reason why I'm a little bit with some of these lines. I don't mean to be like I'm just off these games. So don't rip me.
It's
people.
The only way.
I'm betting these games. Fuck.
Yeah, no, I over 150 minus 110 for CMAC in Army, George Washington Revolution.
And if I move, I'll tell you on the others.
Cool. So, please do.
Yeah. Okay.
Please
All right. Do. All right, brother. Later.
All right. Thank you for rocking with us. There he is, Mr. Conor Mac, breaking down college basketball. You catch him here every Friday. We roll on to NBA. And let me once again tell you guys what our next guest has done. Now, we know he's got up to over 60% in the regular season college football. Now, he slipped under that now after a tough conference run. But which is good. You want the fight in the dog, and now he's got to fight to get back in the 60%. But he opened up on our show 2-10 in NBA. In the last 5 shows, he went 3-1, 4-1, 3-1, 2-1, and then last week he swept the board 4-0 plus 4.7 units with 2+ money lines. That makes him now plus 1.86 units, ROI plus 4.54%. And I am impressed. Please welcome our guy from Los Angeles, California, Wine Time Sports in the house. Wine Time, what's good, man? How are you?
Jimmy, my guy, good to be here with you on a Friday, man. I could have missed this show for the world, man. Been battling this flu all week, And I woke up feeling worse yesterday. And, I watched the show, man, and it got me better. It made me feel better. Took some medicine. We're drinking a little bit of wine over here for that natural medicine, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
The throat might sound a little messed up, but I'm feeling great. And, I attacked some of this college basketball today. 2 games already that you guys were talking about. I'm on that Nebraska spot. I'm on that Northern Iowa spot. And I got 4 games to break down today for these NBA, or break down all of these, but 4 plays so far, including one a good-sized dog as well. And, Friday used to be probably my worst day of the week, and now it's slowly becoming my best day of the week. And it's because I'm capping these games with you in the chat. I'm seeing things that I usually don't see, and I get information from you in the chat, and it helps a lot. And I just hope to keep it going.
What an impressive run, though. 5-week run. In that 5 weeks, then you are 10, 12, 16, and 4. Woo! Shit!
Let's keep it going. Let's just keep it going today. Let's sweep the board again.
Let's go get it. Shout out to our guy, Yellow Jesus. Yes, I'm still in touch with JB. I love JB. He's down in Costa Rica. And I still never got the chance to hang out with him because he's from Montreal, but I think his dad's in Mississauga, so he's been here before, but we haven't been a chance to hook up. But yeah, I'm a big fan of JB as well. Yellow Jesus. Let's get to work here. We got plays of the day from Ron Crawford, LJ from H-Town. We got plays of the day from. We have more. Who is it? We have another one. We have Ron Crawford, LJ from H-Town, and Justin McKelvey plays of the day. So let's rock. We start at 7 p.m. Eastern with the Washington Wizards 3-19, 1-9 on the road to the Cleveland Cavaliers 21-4, 13-1 at home. Shout out to NJ Stryker in the house. Great to see you. We're at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse in Cleveland, Ohio. We've already heard from Dan Kelly, who talked about the situation that the Cavaliers were in over this last, the not qualifying for the NBA Cup, going 2-2 in the Cup and being put in difficult situations, travel-wise and schedule-wise, and how they are a fresh group ready to roll. Let's get into all of the information here and hand it over to a wine time. We're going to start with the line history, and then I'll go into the X's and O's, line history and cash flow. Let's move over to NBA, and let's roll. So, oh, come on. Are you not going to? Okay. I'm going to have to switch off. Okay. Wine time will do the line movement here for this one, but I will get this up and rolling here. I don't know why the site just went down. But cash-wise, 63% of the tickets and 69% of the cash is on the Cleveland Cavaliers. We already heard that first quarter -6. It was something that Dan Kelly wanted to attack, but 6 is a lot. 61% tickets, 69% cash on the over. It looks like it's moved a little bit in that direction. Donut Silk says, in a funny way, I'm not that upset with my Cavs not making the Cup. More rest for a meaningless tourney. Sign me up. That's what they're all saying. They're all saying that the rest was absolutely crucial for them. A lot of teams are talking about that. Let's talk about the past 5 games. Washington 1-4, Cleveland 4-1. Washington playing at the 3rd fastest pace in the league and shooting the ball terribly over the last 5 games. The interesting thing about them shooting just, 28.1% from 3 over the last 5 games is they've been excellent from 3 all year. This Washington Wizards team is 4th in the NBA at 37.4%. Number 1 in the NBA, Cleveland Cavaliers at 40.4%. And over the last 5 games, even though they haven't been, they're 4-1, so it's not been bad, but they're shooting 41.3% from 3 and 49 from the field with the 11th fastest pace, 101 possessions a game. The Cavaliers destroyed Washington the last time they met. It was the first week of this. Well, both times. They destroy them in the first week of the season, 135-116 at Washington. Then they absolutely crushed them, 118-87 as part of the NBA Cup. For Washington, they snapped their 16-game losing streak with that 122-113 victory shocker at home over the Nuggets. Jordan Poole goes for 39 in that. Of course, Jokic went for 56, but the Wiz got right back to their losing ways on Sunday, losing 140-112 at home to the Grizzlies on Sunday, a Grizzlies team missing Bane and Ja. The Cavaliers have won or had their 4-game winning streak snapped in that loss at the Heat on Sunday, 122-113. So it's a nice break for them. So in the 3-point shooting situation where these teams are going to want to fire it up, Cleveland's outscored Washington in these two games 102-57. And you know Washington's going to be firing away like crazy. I'm going to set up my new different line history page because mine just went down. But take it away for us here, Wine Time. First game on the board, Wizards Cavs.
Yeah, this is an interesting matchup, Jim. These last couple of Fridays, what I've been doing is I've been looking at these high totals on the board. This is the highest total on the board we got right now at 232. I already moved on this at this exact number. Both these teams are playing to the over this season. You touched on it. Both are hitting from three. Cleveland Cavaliers, what a season they're having, man. 21-4, dream type seasons. They mentioned on it in the chat too. More rest is better than that extra $50,000, whatever the extra money is. I forget what it might be, 500,000 actually, but a lot of these players want that rest, especially a team like Cleveland Cavaliers. They've got their hopes on something bigger than an in-season tournament cup. With that being said, Washington Wizards, is this one of the worst NBA teams we've ever seen? This team just, three wins this season, Jim. This is crazy. I know Kuzma hasn't been playing. We got Jordan Poole out there. You got the big Val out there, Lithuanian guy. Really good big. I've been a big fan of Valanciunas, but there's only so much you can do with this starting five here, man, and this head coach. This might be one of the worst teams we've ever seen, but they can put the ball in the bucket, and their defense is nothing I want to get involved in. If you're looking at their last 5 games, 140 points to the Memphis Grizzlies, 113, 137, 118, 124. They're going to get over 100 as well. They're probably going to get 110 at least because they can definitely put the ball in the bucket, especially if they get on a little run from three. Especially Jordan Poole, man, that guy can, once he gets going, he can hit some threes. I see this no problem going over the 232.5, Jim. I gave that out on Twitter about an hour ago. I'm on the over 232.5 minus 110 in this one. This one's going to hit 240.
You have been cashing these over the last few weeks. 232.5 minus 110. It's actually dropped a half point.
Oh, has it? I don't like that. It's tough because look what I'm saying here. Like the two teams that are shooting the ball really well from three, and I'm on the over. Maybe both these teams kind of come to life a little bit, and they're not hitting from three. But this is a spot where I just have to take it because the Wizards aren't stopping anyone, and I think that the Cleveland Cavaliers, their last 5 games as well. If you look at it, they have 113, 116, 114, 87, and 111. But they're giving up 110 plus points in most of these games. So I see no reason why this game can't fly over the total.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So that total here is now a 232 across the board. It opened up at 232.5 at midnight, dropped down to 231.5 at 3 a.m, then up to 232. So at 9:19 a.m. it was minus 114 to the over, plus 101 to the under. So it was a 232.5, but it's come back a little bit to a 232. And then, Wizards shooting the ball 28.1% from three. A team that's playing horrible basketball also needs the break here, but you are going toe to toe with Justin McKelvey. Stack's play of the day is on the under 232.5. So we've got heavyweights battling here at Rocket Mortgage.
Stacks.
Joseph Gomez does say, though, if you're going to tank, this is the year to do it. Kid from Rutgers, Cooper Flagg are solid game changers. Yep. I'm going to need to sit with this one for a little bit longer. Another thing that I've done is I've tried to stay away from totals. When I look at my success rate over the last, and I went back for more than just 1 year. I went back 4 years. My sides are just so much stronger. And so I'm trying to focus on that, but there are going to be appealing spots here, and I can understand that. Donut Silk says this rested a Cleveland team should be playing defense tonight. And Rick J said Cavs' bad defense hasn't been noticed because of the wins. So over 232.5 for Wine Time, who's 16-4 over his last 5 shows with us with plus money bangers. Let's roll on, because these two teams, Wine Time, Indiana Pacers, Philadelphia 76ers, you cashed with both of them last Friday. Now, the Sixers thing was a beautiful look by you. You took them plus 150 on the money line. Should have joined you. But we kept that Pacers spot, and we said, oh, we have to bet the Pacers. And that was a real relaxing, no doubt, casher. And I don't know if you can say that about this Pacers team very often. 10-15, 3-11 on the road. At the Sixers, 7-15, 3-8 at home. And Drewski already with Halliburton under points, rebounds, and assists, already hammering this spot. I went over, I didn't have enough time, but I did kind of a deep dive on the Pacers. Why are they playing so bad? They have all these guys in double digits, 7 players in double digits. Spicy P is not playing like a max player. He's playing he should be getting a fifth of that salary right now with the way he's playing. He's playing like a good basketball player, not a max basketball player. And what's wrong? What is going where? I was trying to figure out. Now I know that they, dealt with injuries with Naismith and Nemhard, but Drewski saying that the Pacers bench better than the starters. It's very, very strange. And they're also, now they're starting to play in that fast pace again. They're also shooting the ball well. Can you imagine a team shooting 48.9 from the field and 37.4% from three over their last 5 games? Well, you'd say, how many did they win? They were probably over 500. This is a 1-4 team here. Philadelphia 4-1 though. They're starting to put it together. Nick Nurse has got a group of healthy guys, healthier. Yellow Jesus says, I live in Philly, Jim. Smash the Sixers tonight. Philly 4-1, shooting also quite well, better, but not from 3, 33.1 from 3, but 47.9% from the field. Let's get into the line history here. We'll start with this total. This total's at 227.5 at a pick'em. It opened up at 229. So this also, interestingly enough, opens up at it opened up at 228, but went up to 229 immediately. This just opened at midnight. So it gets up to 229, and then the bottom drops. This is a 225.5 at 6 a.m. We've climbed back to 227.5. So we have a half-point move towards the under. Let's get into the spread here. From a point spread scenario, we have Philadelphia minus 6.5 and minus 105. That's exactly where it opened. So we've had no movement on that one. Let's get to the cash flow here. On the total, 75% of tickets and 82% of cash is on the over. And then on the spread, just 54% of the tickets and 56% of the cash on the Sixers. That's a little less than I had thought. Joe, you're saying this Pacers D not as good as last year. Great to see you, Joe. LV Sphere says, I just keep breezing over McConnell points and assists at home. O'Connell, of course, went for 30 last game. Let's talk about some X's and O's. Pacers come off their 5th loss in 6 games, falling 113-109 at home to Charlotte on Sunday. And no starter had over 11 points. It was horrific. I mean, TJ McConnell went for 30 and 6 in just 26 minutes. The 17 turnovers, they just looked bad. Halliburton, Mathurin, and Pascal Siakam combined to go 1 of 13 from 3. They combined to go 11 of 29 from the field and score just 29 points. Ugly. Charlotte shot 51 from the field and 48.3 from 3. So not only are the Pacers, shooting poorly, but when they do shoot poorly, they don't defend to help them, get out of jail. Yeah. Sixers coming off their 4th win in 5 games, 108-100 at the Bulls on Sunday. They've had 5 days off. Can you think of a team that needed 5 days off more than the Sixers team? You had Embiid, who came back from that 7-game absence. You had George with the knee issues. Maxey still trying to be fully healthy from the hamstring injury. Embiid went for 31 and 12. George just 12 and 7. And Maxey goes for a trip dub, 25, 14, and 11. Rand says 2 bad defenses. It goes over most likely, but Drewski on the under. Take it away for us here. Wine time game 2 on the board. Pacers, Sixers.
Yeah, Jim, 2 teams are in the opposite directions as what I thought they were going to be at the start of the season. I mean, you look at the Indiana Pacers being 10 and 15. I would think they'd be 15 and 10. Look at the Philadelphia 76ers. They acquire Paul George this offseason. There's been a lot of that drama with Joel Embiid, but they're sitting here at 7 and 15, but won 4 out of their last 5 games. And I haven't seen them go over a total like this in at least 5 games right now. And the way Philly has been playing, and I think the way they can win is more towards the under. That's the way Nick Nurse, I think, likes to run his team. You look at both of these teams, though, they're starting 5s, man. I mean, there's 4 guys in the Pacers starting 5 that are averaging more than 15 points a game. These guys like to chuck it up, but you mentioned it. When they're shooting it, they don't like to play defense. They don't like to get on the other side of the court and play D on that side. 76ers, I think these two teams are heading in the opposite directions now in this season. Philly, I think, is going to start turning it on a little bit. I backed them on that Friday with you. I backed them on Sunday as well. Cashed both times with them on those games. Seeing the -6.5 against the Pacers makes me want to take the 76ers out of -6.5, honestly, right now. Looking at the market, it's about a 54-46, so pretty split right now. A little bit more of the money is coming in on the 76ers. This line opened up at a 5.5, and it moved towards the 76ers with just 55% of the tickets on them. I'm leaning towards the 76ers. I might end up getting there before the show ends because I like the way they've been playing these last 5 games, especially with Joel Embiid back. These guys don't want to lose, man. They've got too much talent on this team. They've got a really good head coach in Nick Nurse. To not do something and to at least show some pride for their city. They're going to be playing in Philadelphia tonight. I might end up moving on the Philadelphia 76ers, but I'm looking at this game a little bit differently. I mentioned it, 76ers haven't been able to go over this total the last 5 games, but they're giving us a total of 227.5, 228 right now. I mean, I think that tells us everything we need to know, guys. I moved on it this morning about an hour and a half ago on my Twitter, over 227.5, -110. I think this gets easily 230. Both teams are going to want to shoot the ball. The Pacers, if they want to, they're going to be shooting the ball all night. They're not going to be able to play defense. There's a lot to guard over there on the other side. In Paul George, the guy can make any shot on the floor. You got Tyrese Maxey. The guy goes out there and plays with a ton of heart, goes out there and plays for his coach and for his teammates. Love watching him play. And when he's on, he's hard to stop. And I think him and Hallie should be going back and forth in this one too. Look out for that matchup right there. But I'm on the over 227.5. I think this is going to soar over, Jim. I've been loving these Fridays overs. I feel like they've just been so easy. And this is a spot where it's like the market's kind of telling us, this game, 76ers haven't gone over this total in the last 5 games. I didn't do too much research outside those last 5 games, so I can't tell you how specifically long it's been. But I think this easily gets over. And my book has a 228 right now. My 227s are off the board. I got in at the 227.5. I'm sure you can still get it on a couple different sites. With mine, I got in at the 227.5. Give me the over 227.5 in the Philadelphia 76ers and Indiana Pacers game.
The Sixers have played 22 games. 6 of them this year have gone over. This is the same thing I was talking about with the Boston University Merrimack game. It's the exact same thing. What they're putting out a number that Philly hasn't come close to touching in the last 5 games. And when you look at so I talked about how it's 6 times they've gone over. 2 of those times it went to overtime. That's why it went over. So really 4 times it's gone over. That's just, that's just, but then did it concern you that 75% of the tickets and 82% of the cash were agreeing with you?
Yeah, it definitely did, Jim. I'm looking at that as we speak right now. I definitely like. You said this opened up at what did we get this opened up at?
This opened up. Sorry, I got this spread
there
up.
You go. This 225-ish.
Yeah, because it climbs fast. Let's just.
I think for a reason though. It might be more of a public side, but I definitely think some of the sharps most likely came in earlier, and this isn't. There's 12.1K tickets on this game. It's the most bet game of the day so far, actually. And they're moving it towards the over, though. So, if the books are adjusting it towards the favor that I like it. I hope this continues to go up to 228.5 or 229. We'll see if it gets there. I wish I would have got in this morning at the 225.5. If you got in on that, that's extremely sharp right there. I think someone came in this morning and there was a lot of steam. 1 or 2 people, big sharp bettors, probably came in and hit this total, and they had to adjust it accordingly. I still like the over, though. I think this soars over 230.
It's fascinating breakdown. So this opened up at 228 at midnight, got up to 229 at 1 a.m, and then it had the massive drop down to 225.5. So it was you could have got to 225.5 at 8 this morning.
45 minutes before I got mine in. Yeah. Someone came in early and hit this hard, man. And I'm going to trust that whoever came in and hit this hard, honestly.
It also feels like the Sixers as well should be able to, come in fresh and take care of business. 6.5 is probably a good number. but it's not perfect here. Brand says Pacers or the over. Nufflush says last Friday 76ers team totally give it at 101.5. Final team total was 102 and book closed at 102.5. Said it's a must bet on overs to get in early here. Rod Zawacki in the house. Great to see you, Rod. Says 76ers are 7-0 to the under when playing against a marginal losing team. Wow. But I don't know what to do with the season-long stats for the 76ers, whether or not we should trust them at all.
Yeah, I mean, Embiid's been in and out. I mean, so much drama has been going on with the team. It's definitely quieted down over there. I'm sure Nick Nurse got all of his guys together. And if they want to win something, man, I mean, they've got the team to do it. They've got a good roster. I mean, they're starting five. I already mentioned it. You got Paul George. You got Joel Embiid. You got Maxey. You got Kelly Oubre, who can definitely put the ball in the bucket, too. He can definitely be ice cold and not play good defense at times. But this is a good 76ers team. Pacers, too, I mean, underperforming 10-15. I mean, we're seeing a 7-14 team, though, being a -6.5 after they open up at a -5.5, 50-50 ticket split. I think it's a clear-cut 76er spot. But but that's what makes this cap kind of difficult for me, because 76ers, when they play well, they play to the under. So that's why it's kind of keeping me off the 76ers in this spot. Because they play better towards the under when they win their games, it seems like. Because Nick Nurse, we know how he likes to play defense and slow these games down and do what he does. He did that in Toronto. So with that being said, that's the only reason why I'm not on Philadelphia in this game. I might still end up getting there. If so, I'll tweet it out. I definitely still like the over, though.
Yeah, I'm interested in the Sixers here. I just not. I guess what we're getting is a sharp line with the 50-50 action and the no movement.
I think so too.
All right, let's roll on to the next spot on the board. Joe Yurkovich going to be using Philly as a parlay piece on the money line. I can understand that. We move on to 8 p.m. Eastern with the LA Lakers 13-11, 5-8 on the road. Minnesota Timberwolves 12-11, 7-4 home. Target Center, Minneapolis, Minnesota. LeBron will not be in the lineup. Bronny just went for 30 in the G League. That's
I was watching that game towards the end of when I was capping. He looked good out there. I mean, that was his first game. He looked good out there. I was wondering if LeBron was there because I'm wondering why he's taking time off from his team. That's a lot of question marks there, Jim. I've never seen him do anything like this before. So who knows what's going on behind the scenes?
Yeah, we have the same thing going on with the Canucks with JT Miller, where if you get the information right away, there's somebody in the room that's not trustworthy. You hope that you don't get the info, and you hope that the word of a player is important in the locker room. When there's some fucking narc in the room telling the press shit, that's the worst sign. So you kind of don't want to know exactly what's going on. This total opened up at 214.5, now 213.5, and on the side here, we have a 9. Timberwolves 9-point favorites, -9. Open up at 8.5, now -9. JP just says all kinds of LeBron trade rumors. We've heard a bunch of them too. We've heard a bunch as if the Warriors would get him. I find all that basically impossible to believe, but
I agree.
But
we'll see. I think it's more likely that Jimmy Butler goes somewhere than LeBron James. I mean, LeBron James doesn't come out and ask for trades. I hope everything's okay with whatever's going on with his fam. If that is, keep everything closure. We don't need to hear about it to the public. It's none of our business. Hopefully he comes back to work here in the next couple of games and everything's good.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see. I'm curious to see how they react here. 89% of tickets, 85% of cash on the over, and on the spread, 52 and 54 on the Lakers. Very little movement here. Lakers 2-3 over their past 5, playing 22nd fastest pace in the NBA, 97.57. Just a little bit faster than Minnesota, 97.40. That's 24th, which is just a little bit faster than the Sixers playing 28th fastest pace. I don't think I mentioned that. Just under 96 possessions a game. The Lakers are shooting poorly right now. 30.3 from 3 over these 5 games. 45.1 from the field. Minnesota shooting 46.3 from the field, but shooting the ball nice from 3 right now. 39.1%. LeBron out due to foot soreness, but we know there's a lot more going on than that. Rod Zawacki says, bet on Minnesota when playing only their second game in 7 days. Minnesota records in 2024 season 6-0 against the spread. Lakers stepped their 3-game losing streak with a 107-98 victory at home over the Blazers on Sunday. That was without the services of LeBron. So that first game jump that you see is over to me at this point.
It is.
Timberwolves had their 4-game winning streak snapped in 114-106 loss at Golden State on Sunday. This is the third of 4 games between these two teams. LA won on opening night, and then and Davis went off that night. Right? It was just nuts. And then Edwards scored 27 in that game. Davis went for 36 and 16. And then Minnesota destroyed them on December 2nd in Minneapolis, 109-80. Rick J liking Edwards threes. Take it away for us here one time, Lakers, Timberwolves.
Yeah, Jim. Interesting matchup here. Minnesota being an 8.5-point favorite here for a reason. You touched on it. I mean, the Lakers played without LeBron on Sunday night, I believe it was, against the Portland Trailblazers. Took care of business. I don't know if they covered the spread. I think they pushed. Depends on what number you got. -7, I guess you could say. If you got a -7, they got the spread. I would not back the Lakers in this spot. Don't get me wrong. I see some people, they play a lot faster without LeBron. Don't get me wrong. They got some shooters over there too. Duncan can hit the 3 ball. I mean, what does AD have to do to keep them in this game, though, realistically? Rui Hachimura, he's going to have a game as well. I mean, he's going to have to go off for 20 to 25 points. If they're going to want to stay in this game. Minnesota Timberwolves, I mean, Edwards, this guy's going to attack these guys all night long, knowing that LeBron's not in that lineup. Got Julius Randle, history with the Lakers. He always wants to go after them. He likes going after LeBron. I'm sure he's bummed that LeBron's not in this one. With that being said, I'm really close to pulling the trigger on these Minnesota Timberwolves -8, -8.5. I think they get it done here. We already saw the Lakers get that win and all this stuff that's going on behind the scenes. I'm not sure how the players are dealing with it right now. I guess we'll see tonight when they play. If you ask me, I think the Minnesota Timberwolves beat these guys by 10 plus on any given night without LeBron James in this lineup. So I'm going to take I'm going to make this official. Is there any -8s anywhere, Jim?
Let's take a look here. This is a triple up spot for Rod Zawacki on the T-Wolves. The problem I have here is just that I've lost with the Timberwolves as favorites here. It's when they're tiny favorites or within 3 and under, like on the road and stuff. They've been good to me as favorites at home. They've not been good to me. The 8 might be a little bit costly here. Let's get it exactly, because the 8.5 is -113. The 8's -124.
Yeah, give me the 8.5 because I think they get it done. I'm not playing for a push here. I'm playing for them to blow these guys out of the gym at home in Minnesota, man, on a Friday night. All the lights are going to be on for the Minnesota Timberwolves and Anthony Edwards. I might end up getting on a Anthony Edwards points props. We'll see. Haven't looked at any of that quite yet. I'm going to look at that a little bit later after we get all the confirmations in the lineups. It's just so tough to cap some of these NBA games. That's why I don't even cap these games mostly the night before anymore, because just so much things can happen overnight in these games. You never know who's going to play sometimes. With that being said, I'm on Minnesota. I'm going to make it official right now on X and lock it in at minus. My book's giving me -8.5, -110. So that's what I'm going to give it out.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, cool. That's better than -8.5, -110. You're locked and loaded here. So, Davis is a game time decision at this point, but he's had the 5 days off or so. So we expect him to be in the lineup. Also, AR-15 is also a game time decision. Davis is probable though with the foot injury, so there should be no concern there.
Yeah, it just got updated 5 minutes ago. Austin Reeves upgraded to probable.
And Austin Reeves probable as well. Okay, I got too many of these things up right now. My computer's moving way too slow. Okay, let's roll on here. Oh, God, sorry.
No, you're good.
Freezing here. Let's get all of this off. Okay, so we can speed this up. Okay, we roll on. Next spot on the board for us, we just had wine time move on the Timberwolves -8.5. We move on to 8 p.m. Eastern. Brooklyn Nets 10-14, 5-8 on the road. Memphis Grizzlies 17-8, 11-3 at home. So we already have heard from our guy LJ from H-Town, and he has moved on the Grizzlies. It is the Grizzlies at 10 is the Trill OG play today. Grizzlies -10.5. And it goes right up against the NBA play of the day from Ron Crawford. The NBA play of the day from Ron Crawford is the Brooklyn Nets. So we got Nets, Grizzlies, and 2 very good cappers on either side of the fence. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have Memphis -10 now with no Vig. They opened up at -11.5. It goes to 11. It goes to 10.5, and now down to 10. So we've had this 1.5 point move towards Brooklyn. On a total look, we are sitting here with a 229. It's juiced to the under. This opened up at 230.5. It got up to 231.5 at one point, but now we're at 229. So we've had a 1.5 move towards the under. When we get to the cash flow here, 60% of tickets, 63% of cash on the Grizzlies, and this has moved to 10. It's suspicious. 70% of tickets, 71% of cash on the over. This is a Grizzlies team that's healthy. It's just Zach Edey is the lone question mark here, and he's doubtful. So expect no Zach Edey in the lineup. And then for Brooklyn, of course, Bogdanovich, Thomas out of the lineup. But they've been rolling with this lineup for a little while. Schroeder, Keon Johnson, then Cam Johnson, and then Dorian Finney-Smith and Nick Claxton is the five that these guys are rolling with. So let's get into touch on some X's and O's and hand it over. We have Brooklyn 1-4 of their past 5, playing at the 23rd fastest pace, 97.5 possessions a game, 44.1 from the field, and 37 from three. Memphis playing at the fastest pace in the league over the last 5 games, 107.8 possessions a game, 4-1 over that stanza there, 49.8 from the field and 37 from three. So Brooklyn coming off their 4th loss in 5 games, 118-113 at home versus the Bucks on Sunday, and they just fell apart defensively down the stretch. And Jordi Fernandez was very upset with their defense. Very, very upset. He's making a point, working on the perimeter, defending, and saying that it just can't happen. Schroeder went for 34 and 11. Cam Johnson went for 26. Nick Claxton went for 21 and 10 with 4 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks as well. The Grizzlies coming off their 3rd straight win in 9th in 10 games. They beat up on the Wizards in Washington, 140-112 on Sunday. Ja and Desmond Bane each missed the game. Both are going to be available. And it didn't matter. They put up 140. They've scored at least 115 points in 10 straight games. And Dorian Finney-Smith came back from the injury. He'd missed 4 games with the ankle injury, and he came back to the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, honestly, the Grizzlies exploding without their stars makes me think that there could be a little bit of struggle with the stars back in the lineup after 5 days off. I also was a little surprised that LJ's bet was on Grizzlies full game and not the Grizzlies first half, which I thought was going to be the play. And we have a 1.5 move towards Brooklyn and the public on Memphis. Take it away for us here, Wine Time Nets Grizzlies.
Yeah, Brooklyn Nets going nowhere quick, losing 4 of their last 5 games. A team that was showing a lot of promise the first 20 games or so of the season. I like the way Schroeder's playing. I mean, he's going out. But when Dennis Schroeder's your best player on offense, him and Cam Johnson, there's only so much you can do with that. I respect Dennis Schroeder. I like him as a basketball player. I think he plays with a lot of heart, and he can definitely put the ball in the bucket and distribute the ball and play defense when he wants to. With that being said, you got Cam Johnson on the other hand too, man. I've been a big fan of this guy since he was with the Phoenix Suns. When he's wide open from 3, it's going in most of the time, every single time. He went off again as well. But, what can you ask out of these 2 guys game in and game out to go off for 30 points each in these games to keep them close in this? You mentioned it. These stars coming back from Memphis, they kind of got their starting 5 back. Zach Edey's still not out there. But Desmond Bane's kind of been in and out of the lineup all year, along with John Morant. We'll see how they play tonight. This is a big spread. This is a game I haven't moved on. A part of me wants to agree with LJ, though, in this spot, because the Brooklyn Nets, being a 10, I know Grizzlies are having a hell of a season, and they're playing really good basketball, beating the Boston Celtics a couple games back. 10 points, though, maybe makes me think that the Grizzlies can go in here and take care of business, blowing these boys out. Maybe the Nets are, starting to show their true colors a little bit. We'll see how far this team can go as the season goes on. I'm not going to back the Brooklyn Nets in this spot. I could only lean towards the Memphis Grizzlies in this spot, being a -10. I like what you mentioned, too, the first half. I think I would like the first half a little bit more than the full game because what is the first half number, 5.5 or 6?
6.
A 6. Yeah, we'll see. I might end up moving on this before game time. Interesting. It's just Memphis playing such good basketball right now. I don't know if I want to ask them to beat these guys by 10 plus. Do I think they can beat them? Absolutely. Beat them by 11 points. That might be asking a little bit too much because I mentioned it. Dennis Schroeder, hard-nosed player. He's not going to give up. When you give him the ball and you give him the opportunity, he's going to go out there and play as hard as he can when he wants to, keep in mind. Cam Johnson too, though. He can drill the 3-ball. You got Claxton, a good center. You know, you don't have Cam Thomas. He's been out for quite some time, though. Keon Johnson's going to have to step up for these guys. He's going to have to play some good defense, and he's going to have to hit some shots. He's going to have to hit those wide open shots that he gets. If they double team Shooter when he gets to the paint, we'll see what happens here. I'm going to stay away from this game, though.
Do the Grizzlies care that the Nets came in on October 30th, beat them by 13, and then beat them again at home on November 4th?
I didn't even see that. So the Grizzlies have lost the last 2 matchups to this team
this year. Yeah, this is
wow. Yeah, and on October 30th, Brooklyn was a +12. Wow, and they beat them outright. And then they beat them 106-104 last matchup. Yeah, you know what? I don't know. That's tough. I mean, it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a row in any kind of sport, in a professional sport. But I mean, they're showing the Nets absolutely no respect right now. No respect. Maybe the books know something. Maybe they know they're going to blow these guys out of the building. But we'll see. I'm going to stay away from this one, though, Jim.
It's great stuff from the Cappers in the chat. Yeah, I wish that wasn't the case. I wish the revenge wasn't added in, because I think the market is telling us that the Knicks are going to be in this game.
Yeah.
Okay.
What, a -11, Jim, and we've dropped to a -10 with
11.5.
Yeah, with 60% of the bet, 63% of the money on them. Yeah, I mean, Nets are definitely sharp. The more I'm looking at this market a little bit more, this is one of those games I didn't take a big deep dive into. The more I'm looking at it, though, I mean, if you're on the Nets, that's definitely the sharp play. The books haven't adjusted this number accordingly yet. I said earlier, when there's more tickets and money on a side, they adjusted the total. They didn't adjust the market towards the Grizzlies in this. They made it more appealing to bet them. Maybe the Nets go out there and they beat these guys. Maybe Schroeder goes out there and outplays Morant. We'll see. They could do that. They could beat them 3 times in a row. This will be a fun one to watch for sure.
Rod's wacky on the Nets +11.5. This is going to take some more time here for this one. Let's roll on. 8 p.m. Eastern. Charlotte Hornets 7-17, 2-8 on the road at Chicago Bulls 10-15, 3-9 at home. United Center in Chicago, Illinois. Charlotte 1-4 over the past 5, playing at the 30th fastest pace in the league. Very slow. 95.4 possessions a game, 43.9 from the field, but 37.6 from 3. The Bulls 2-3 over the past 5, playing the 4th fastest pace in the league. They're getting 9 more possessions a game than the Hornets are right now. 104.2 possessions a game, 50% from the field, and 38.9 from 3. They're shooting the ball quite well. Let's get into the line history here for this next spot. We got Juski moving on the Hornets. We have this total right now is at 231.5. It's juiced to the over, 231.5. Opened up at 232. Got up to 233 before it started dropping. So we're down a half point, but it is juiced to the over. So let's call it a quarter point. So a slight move towards the over. Let's get into the spread. From a spread perspective, we have this sitting right now at 6.5. Chicago -6.5, -106, the exact same line with the Sixers. The difference is that Sixers line didn't move. This has moved a point towards the Chicago Bulls. It's gone from 5.5 to 6 and then to 6.5. So we have a 1-point move towards these Bulls. We know that Ball LaMelo will not be in the lineup here. He is out. Bridges, Trey Mann's out too. We'll go over this, but so the backup point guard's out. We know that how they've been handling that. The Miles Bridges is questionable right now. So we haven't seen him since November 19th. I don't know how much of a difference he'll make right away, but it's helpful to have him in. Mychich has been playing point guard and doing the best he can, but this offense been rolling through Miller. For these Bulls, it's game time decisions across the board. I think that 6.5 is going to tell us that they're going to be okay, but Vucevic is sick, which then says, who else is sick? You have Levine dealing with back spasms, but he's listed as probable. Let's go through everybody here. So we got, we'll start with Williams. Pat is questionable right now. He's missed 10 straight games with a left foot injury. He's been upgraded to questionable. Vooch is sick, as I'd said earlier. He's listed as questionable. He hasn't missed a game this year. He probably is good to go to play. Then so we have Vooch sick. We have Williams, who might be back after being gone for 10. Giddy is questionable with the back injury. He's been dealing with it for the last few days. All signs point to him being able to play. So it looks like we'll have Giddy in the lineup. And the market's telling us that these guys are going to be good to go. Let's go to Zach Levine is probable with the lower back spasm. So Levine will be in. And then Lonzo, I mean, are we going to get 10 minutes of Lonzo Ball? He's listed as probable here in this one. So there's a lot of issues for both of these squads. Hornets snapped their 8-game losing streak with a 113-109 win at the Pacers on Sunday. Brandon Miller goes for 26. LaMelo, of course. It was the first win since LaMelo went down with the calf strain. And then Trey Mann out as well. So Milic has fulfilled the starting point guard. He hasn't been bad over the last 6 games. Bulls coming off their second straight loss, 108-100 at home versus Sixers on Sunday. And take it away for us one time. That's all. X's knows. Hornets, Bulls.
Yeah, Jim, I just want to give a quick shout out to the chat, everyone in here, man. Nut Blush Allen, my guy right there. Good to see you, brother. Justin McKelvey. Yeah, it's Mandy. You got to come to Pub 4, Justin. You got to be there, man. And if you lose 3 times in a row, just stop after that, because we all saw the video and our guy didn't want to, just wanted to keep playing Jimmy over and over. So just play those 3 games and just see what happens after that. But with that being said, man, it's a blast. Pub 4, man. I was at Pub 3 last year. It's my first time out there. Told Jose how much I love just walking into Southtown when he picked me up from the airport, seeing all the boys, seeing Jimmy and Troy and Razor and T in the room, going live with them right when I walk in there, saying what's up to everyone, not even knowing what people look like, and just having them introduce me to them. Lifelong friends right there, man. And it's a blast. So we're looking forward to getting back out there again this year or in March. And I'm going to get there early this year. I'm going to get there on that Tuesday or Wednesday for sure. But getting to this game, man, this is one of the games, Jim. This is what Dutch would call a backwood for me. I want nothing to do in this game. Don't have a lot to say about this one other than Brandon Miller's been balling out for the Charlotte Hornets. Yeah, LaMelo is going to be out for this one with that calf strain. The Charlotte Hornets just going nowhere quick, though. Chicago Bulls, very inconsistent team as well. Seeing that the Bulls are a -6.5, -6 at some spots, public kind of coming in on them. This line opened up at, a 5.5. I'm going to stay away from this one. I could lean towards the Chicago Bulls if you had a gun to my head in this one, but this is a straight backwood for me.
Yeah, I there's just so many variables here with these injuries and illnesses and all this bullshit. There's just too many variables. I think that the Bulls should be able to cover this number. I wish that the Hornets were coming off of a win 2 days ago. It was their first win. They kind of broke through finally, without LaMelo. I have interest in the Bulls. I'm just going to leave that at that and take a look at it after the game. After the show. Let's move on. Next up for us, 9 p.m. Eastern, with the LA Clippers 14-11, 5-5 on the road. Denver Nuggets 12-10, 6-4 at home at Ball Arena in Denver, Colorado. We will be racing for $100. $100. So now I want Justin McKelvey to win, so he's just can put that $100 aside for our ping pong action, man. Clippers 2-3 over the past 5, 27th fastest pace in the league. Denver is flying up the court right now. Why are they flying up the court in each and every game? It's because no Jamal Murray and Russell Westbrook is, as he does, playing out of control. Now, what he is doing, though, is he's looking for Jokic all the time. We have not... I've not time stamped the bet here. 3 in a row for $100. I'm not I only play at Pubapalooza. I'm not training. I only play once a year. So 3 in a row. I'd have to think on that. That's somebody's going to come down to Pubapalooza and beat me. There's no doubt about it. I'm not that good. So I need to think on that one. I need to start training and shit, man. I have been training NBA Jam though. Got the NBA Jam out. So I'll bring NBA Jam down there. That'll be ready to go. Let's go back here. Clippers, Nuggets here. Again, Nuggets running very fast. 105.8 possessions a game over the last 5, 53.5 from the field, and 35.5 from 3. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have another 6.5. So this is our third game at 6.5. This one opened at 6.5 and is still at 6.5. Clippers have not moved. So this is very similar to the Sixers spot. tricky number, that 6.5. Let's get into the total. This total is at 227.5, and it's juiced to the under. This opened up at 228, so we have a half point move towards the under. And when we get to the cash flow, oh yeah, Rick J, and it's tournament edition, so it's the real deal, man. It's the real deal. I got some training and it felt good. I hadn't played in a while. So when we get to the injury issues, of course, Man out, Leonard out. So Terrence Mann out, Leonard out. Leonard's practicing for whatever that's worth. Tucker, of course, out. So it's Harden, Dunn, Powell, Batum, and Zubac for Denver. Jamal Murray now a game time decision. Okay, so he's closer. I don't think he plays here. I had read. Until now. This is the first time I've seen something questionable. I did not think that he was going to be in the lineup here. I thought it was just Westbrook starting. Christian Brown is probable with the right quad contusion, so Christian Brown will be in. And then Gordon was the last one that we need to know about. Aaron Gordon probable here. So same deal, just a calf issue, but probable to go. Okay, and then cash flow. Did we do that? Let's just quickly go to cash flow. 74% of tickets, 73% of cash is on this over. And on the spread here, we have 58% of tickets, 53% cash on the Nuggets. So that's why the line's not moving. They're getting a ton of 50-50 action, and I'm not sure the books know what to do. Clippers come in off their second straight loss, falling 117-106 at home to the Rockets on Sunday. Powell comes back from the hamstring injury, but James Harden out of the lineup on Sunday. So Harden is good to go now, right? That was confirmed that Harden is all good. No injury designation or anything like that. Terrence Mann out with the finger injury, and of course Kawhi Leonard with the knee injury, and Kawhi is not traveling with the team, but he's returned to practice. Nuggets snapped their 2-game losing streak with a dominant 141-111 victory at Atlanta on Sunday. Jokic 48, 14, and 8. I mean, the guy is just an absolute monster. This year he's averaging 32.3 points, 13.6 boards, and 10.2 assists. He's 104 points over his last 2 games, and it's It's really been Westbrook just pushing the ball. Westbrook's averaged 11.5 assists over the last 2 games. He's just forcing the ball here. Not forcing it, just looking for Jokic and Jokic only. Saric is expected to be back. He was inactive for the last 2 games with an ankle injury. It doesn't matter too much. Take it away for us here. Wine time. Clippers, Nuggets.
Yeah, this is a good matchup. I mean, I think the odds makers have this at about right. I got in at the Clippers plus 6.5. I've seen them move up and down at the 6 and 6.5. I'm seeing the 6.5 at most of my books right now. I think this is going to be a pretty close game. I think if you're going to give me 6 points in my back pocket with this Clippers team, that hard-nosed team, man. I mean, they haven't had Kawhi Leonard this season. You never know who's going to play for them. Norman Powell's been playing some big-time ball for them. He's averaging 23.5 points. Pretty crazy. James Harden's being James Harden. He's getting the ball. He's averaging about 8.5 assists a game, and he's putting up about 22 points a game. Terrence Mann is out for that one. That is a hit on defense. You do have Coffey, though, who will play defense when he wants to. Denver on the other side, man, this is just an up and down team. They've been all season. It seems like you mentioned it, Westbrook getting the ball to Jokic. That's what he does. He likes to get the ball to the best player on the court. Usually these last couple of years, still can really get it done with the assists, and his passing game is just, it could be next level when he wants to. Yeah, he can force a lot of things and turn the ball over a lot. We've seen him do that his whole career. His explosiveness, though, it's still there. That being said, I think this 6.5 points is just too much for me to have in my back pocket. I'm not going to take a shot on the Clippers money line in this spot because I do think in Denver, the altitude might hit them towards the end of the game. We'll see. But if you're going to give me 6.5 points, I'm going to take the Clippers in this spot, plus 6.5 on the road here. They're coming off back-to-back losses, losing to the Houston Rockets, losing to the Timberwolves, 2 teams that are playing good right now. You look at Denver, man. I mean, this team just lost 2 games ago to the Washington Wizards. 1 of 3 wins for the Wizards is against this Nuggets team. They did blow out the Atlanta Hawks as a plus 1 point dog, beat them by 30 points in the last one. Maybe this is, like I said, they've been an up and down team this year, and maybe this is one of those games where they don't show up. And the Clippers, I feel like they're always in these games when they want to, if they play good defense and they can hit their open shots. So give me the Clippers plus 6.5 minus 110 in this spot. I already moved on Twitter as well.
Yeah, I can I get it. It just feels like it's these 6.5s with 50-50 X on each side. It feels quite sharp. I don't know if the edge is
It's
enough
really
for me
sharp, yeah.
to put my money down on it at this point. So, one time moving on the Clippers plus 6.5, minus 110. Let's roll on. Next up for us, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, the Phoenix Suns 12-11, 4-7 on the road. Utah Jazz 5-18, 2-9 at home. We're at Delta Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. There were two spots that we were just completely together with last Friday. Now you swept the board. You went 4-0, but the two spots we were together with were the Pacers and the Jazz, and the Jazz won by 40 points. It's the one good game they played, in the market. Really told us that was the situation here. Let's get into the line history with the Jazz playing horrific, and then KD back for the Suns. KD back from the sprained ankle, and you know what I want to do when the star comes back is fade the team here. Let's take a look if it's a possibility for us. First off, this total opened up at 229.5, and it shot up to 233. So we have a 3.5 point move towards the over. And then on the spread here, we have Utah as 7.5 point dogs. Before it was announced that KD was for sure coming back, this was a 4.5, but this opened here at 6.5, got up to 8, deemed too much, back to 7.5. I think that's telling. I always kind of like the opportunity to fade the star. There's only 32% of the tickets and 26% of cash on the Jazz. All the books are saying was that 8 was too far, but this line has moved a point in the direction of the Suns, so it's not like. I mean, again, I would wait here if I was going to move, on anything. We have Phoenix 4-1 over. Let's not talk about their pace over the last 5 games because KD's back. But one thing that did happen over the last 5 games was they started shooting the ball much better. Playing better basketball, winning games without KD. But now they shot 47.7 from the field and 41. Oh, you know what is this? Sorry, let me just make sure that so they did. Okay, let me backtrack because I'm saying they're winning some games here. They did come off their third straight loss, 115-110 Orlando on Sunday. They're 8-2 this season when Durant, Booker, and Beal are together. 1-9 when Durant is sidelined. I think I've got these stats wrong here because I got Phoenix 4-1 over the past 5. I lacking sleep here, and I must have screwed this up. So I'm going to go back to the action here from the Suns over the last 5 games because this must not be right. Obviously, 1-9 over their past 10 without Booker, and they've lost 3 straight. So let me just put a line through those stats that I gave you initially. I must have screwed that up. But Utah 1-4. So Durant's missed the last 3 games, 12 overall this season. Jazz coming up their 6th loss in 7 games. They lose 141-97 at Sacramento on Sunday. Followed a 27-point loss at Oklahoma City. And then last Friday, when we were on the Jazz, they beat, and you had the money line, I had the plus 2.5 or whatever it was. They win 141-99 at Portland. That's just crazy, this team. You never know what the hell you're going to get. Lauri Markkanen and Kyle Filipowski did return for the Jazz. We didn't see much of them. Markkanen was listed as questionable. He's been upgraded to probable, so he'll be back in the lineup. George went for 25 points, 8 of 14. Johnny Juzang jumped up in that Portland game. He went for 22. And this is just a one game at home. They head out for a 5-game road trip over the holidays, a long one from the 16th to the 26th. And that's what's ahead of them. Take it away for us here. Wine time. Do you have interest in the Utah Jazz against KD and the Suns in KD's first game back?
I mean, both of my books over here, Jim, just adjusted. I mean, Jim, I kid you not, 15 minutes ago, Suns were -8 at both my books, and they're now -7 at -110 at both my books. I wish I would have gone in at that +8, man. I'm leaning towards the Utah Jazz in this spot. Talk about inconsistency, man. Have we ever seen a team win by 42 points and then lose the following game by 44 points? Just wild with what this team is doing. You touched on it. We bet on them in a good spot last week against Portland, a team like Portland that's not very good. It just seemed like a clear-cut Utah Jazz spot. They were playing in Portland. They're playing in Utah for this one, and Utah get some hype for their home crowd and stuff. They definitely get some people coming to the games, and they get rocking and rolling there. This team is, I mean, going 5-8 though, a team that has young talent and has a younger coach that showed a lot of promise in the beginning of last year. If you guys remember, the Jazz were, they were up and down all season. They were kind of in the play-in game, playoffs. Ultimately didn't make it, but they've got some young talent over there, and we're seeing KD come back here. The star comes back. You mentioned it, 8-2 with KD, Booker, and Beal in the lineup. I get that, but I think this is is KD, how many minutes is he going to play? Is he going to play 34 minutes in this game? Maybe he does. And if so, maybe it's too self-centered around him and D-Book and Beal. When it's that case, I'm going to most likely take Utah Jazz with the points in my pocket. If I can get a +8 somewhere, I'm going to hold off because I don't want the +7. I want to see if I can get a +8 at some point. If this continues to go, if this gets to a 6.5 at my book, I'm going to kick myself for not taking that 8, but we're going to stay off it as of right now. But I definitely think Utah's live to not only cover this spread, but to also win this game outright, honestly. What do we have them on the money line at right now? +250. It's kind of hard not for me to give that out right now because I definitely think that they can stay in this game. And the books are adjusting. A -7, that's crazy. I'm seeing 7.5s out of a lot of the books I don't have, but 7s right now. I think they're adjusting this for a reason. Utah Jazz can stay in this game most likely. But as of right now, Jim, we're going to stay off. I'll tweet this out and text you if I end up moving on the Jazz, though.
I'm very interested in the Jazz here. By the way, the Suns are shooting 40. It was all right. Exactly what I said. 47. They're 2-3 over their past 5, not 4-1. That was a mistake. 47.7 from the field and 41.4 from 3. They're shooting the ball extremely well here. And I think that will fall back a little bit here with the break. And I'm interested in the Jazz. I can get a 7.5. I think I probably pull the trigger, but I would be interested to see where this line goes. We have one more spot here in basketball, and then we're going to move to the Army-Navy game, and we have a big announcement here on the show. So let's roll into this spot here on our final spot here in NBA, 10 p.m. Eastern. San Antonio Spurs 12-12, 3-6 on the road. Portland Trailblazers 8-16, 5-6 at home. We're at Moda Center in Portland, Oregon. Spurs are 2-3 over their past 5, playing the 10th fastest pace, 101.9 possessions a game, 43.8 from the field and 32.8% from 3. Wemby obviously needed this break. He's been dealing with these back issues. He says that he's never dealt with them before, and he's really bothering him right now and affecting his game. Portland 1-4 over their past 5, playing at 17th fastest pace, 98.9 possessions a game, shooting 48 from the field and 34.4 from 3. Let's get into the line history. Here we have Portland +3.5 at -107. That's exactly where they opened. This did get up to 4.5, but it's come back. So there's been no movement at all on this spread. And then on the total, we have a 225 -108 to the under. This opened up at 223.5. So we have a 1.5 move to the over. When we get to the cash flow here, we have 77% of the tickets and 74% of the cash on the Spurs. The line's not moving towards them. And then on the total, we have 78% of tickets and 83% cash on the over. And we've seen it move to the over. Drewski on the Spurs money line and also on the under 222.5. Spurs snapped their 3-game losing streak with a 121-116 win at home over the Pelicans on Sunday. The December 6th game against Sacramento, Wemby misses. He returns to play against the Pelicans 2 nights later and has to leave halfway through because of the back pain. He plays 26 minutes against the Pelicans, doesn't deal with the back pain, and goes for 25 points, 10 boards, and 3 block shots, or didn't have to leave the game. So it's the 4th straight double-double for Wemby, and he also had a triple-double involved in that. Castle has 22 against the Pelicans. Chris Paul goes for 10 assists to move second all-time. But Keldon Johnson, left calf, Zach Collins, back contusion, and Castle with a left shoulder injury all got hurt, and they're all ruled out. So they're all out. Collins, Johnson, and Castle are all out. Spurs got a 118-105 win over the Blazers on November 7th. And then these two teams play again in San Antonio on December 21st. Blazers coming off their 4th straight loss, 107-98 at the Lakers on Sunday. Robert Williams is expected to be back right now. Has the concussion issues, so he's missed 6 games. So he's expected to be back. And Donovan Clinton is expected to be back. So that would be great to help defend Wemby. The problem is DeAndre Ayton is questionable with an illness right now. We have a game time decision for Ayton, and he is just questionable with the illness. important person to have on the floor. Not that he's got any toughness, but not like you need to be tough to defend Wemby. Take it away. Our final game in NBA before we get into college football: Spurs Blazers.
Yeah, this is the dog that I moved on today, Jim. I wanted to give out a nice dog. I'm taking the Portland Trailblazers. We faded them last week. We're on them this week against the San Antonio Spurs team, a team that I know pretty well this season. I've been watching them very closely, been backing them in the right spots and been fading them in certain spots. I think this is a good spot you can fade them heading to Portland here in this matchup. Portland's lost their last 4 games. They lost the game to the Lakers without the LeBron. I mean, kind of what happens when the star player goes out. You expect that to happen. At least I do. Spurs coming off a 5-point win over the New Orleans Pelicans. This Spurs team, man, you could back them in certain spots. This is a 500 team, though, this season, guys. This is a team that's going to most likely be a 7th, 8th, maybe 6th seed at absolute best, but maybe even like a 9 or 10 play-in seed. This is a team that's still very young. You've got the veteran point guard and Chris Paul over there feeding everyone like what he does every single season, second all-time on assists. Looking at Portland, man, I mean, they got to get something going here. 8-16, losing their last 4 games. They're due for a win here on a Friday night at home, man. This place should be rocking here. I know this isn't a really great arena by any means, but I have a friend that lives in Portland. He loves going to the games, and he constantly tells me how much the fans are into this team. That was also when they had Damian Lillard. So with that being said, this is a team that's going to fight today, fight for wins. The season isn't quite over for the Portland Trailblazers being 8-16. I'm not saying they're going to make a playoff run by any chance, but they can start winning a couple games here and there. And I think this is a good spot being them. I mean, they're dropped down right now. I got the money line plus 135 when it was a +3, and it still says +3 on my book, but the money line has gone down to plus 125 now.
Wow.
Interesting. So I think that tells us everything we need to know here. I'm not going to take the points in my back pocket because I just think the Blazers are going to win this game outright. So give them to me plus 135 on the money line. Gave them out with my tweet earlier as well on X. Got the money line plus 135. You could probably still get that number at certain spots. It's just my 2 locals right now aren't giving me a better number than that. Probably because I already bet it and they don't want me to take it again, but I most likely will. With that being said here, Portland Trailblazers plus 135 on the money line. They're going to get it done here against the Spurs at home.
Well, I'm going to be on the Blazers and the Jazz. When I say it out loud, it doesn't sound so good.
Wait, did I say the Spurs? I apologize. Did I say the Blazers or Spurs right there, Jim? I think I might have said the Spurs, but
I know you're on the Blazers. Yeah, you're good.
Okay, sweet.
I'm gonna be on the Blazers and the Jazz. The question I'm gonna figure out is, am I gonna add the Sixers to it? But Blazers and the Jazz for me, possible addition with the Sixers. Wine Time is on the Blazers money line. He is on. We'll see if he moves on the Jazz. I'm going to move on. I don't know if I think this could. I don't know if the 8s are going to come back or 7.5s are going to come back.
No, that's why I kind of want to make a move on a 7. If I can get, it's just been going up and down. Like I said, it was a -8, like 15 minutes before we broke that game down. It went to a 7.5 and then a 7. It's tough. I might get on it on the 7 though, because I think they're live to win this game outright. I'm not going to give out the money line, but I definitely think they're live to win this game. Honestly, at least stay within a couple possessions.
Wine Time on the Timberwolves -8.5. Then he's on the over 227.5 in Pacers Sixers and the over 232.5 in Wizards Cleveland Cavaliers. 16-4. He's gone in our last 5 shows. Excellent job, Wine Time. Stay hot. We need it. We need it. We're going to move into college football, but next we have a major announcement here at the channel, and we are going to bring on the star of Medicate Mondays and the star of the Tailgate on Saturdays to the show to help us with our big announcement. Please welcome our friend Daby Cab to the telecast. Daby, how are you, my man?
Daby Cab.
Oh man, I'm pumped. I got my mic unmuted. Ready to do things right today, boys.
Let's go, Cab.
Yeah, ready to roll, man. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to the chat, everybody. I can't wait. I can't wait to talk about what's coming up Saturday, and I can't wait to talk about Army again. This Army-Navy game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talk about it as well. We're going to hear Wine Time's take because he was ill on Wednesday as well. So both of us, all the 3 of us are going to cap it together, which I'm excited about. But what's most important here is our announcement. I'm excited. So Daby Cab, here we go. Take control.
First thing I want to say is how much fun was the tailgate, man? Shout out to the cappers that came on screen. Shout out to the cappers that were in the chat. You guys really made college football Saturday special. So thank you. And look, you were the inspiration for this. When the script fits, you don't change it. You evolve. You get better, right? You reach a goal. You don't sit there and get comfortable. You set another goal and you go get that one. And that's what we're about to do. So we're coming in hot. 10:45 Eastern every Saturday morning, right here on Pub Sports Radio. All About the Hoops presents the starting five. My guy Dutch Boy Fresh, Wine Time, myself, and two other cappers are going to team up every Saturday to bring you guys best bets in college basketball, NBA. We're going to have a cream of the prop segment, and then we're going to have the starting five parlay every week for you guys. It's going to be straight money, straight bets, and I cannot wait. So if you guys enjoyed the tailgate, trust me, you're going to love the starting five. Come this Saturday, 10:45 Eastern. We're going to have a blast, man. And it'll be a revolving cast. There will be other people that'll step up, be in the starting five. Maybe you guys in the chat, maybe one of you guys can make your name known and come up. Can't wait, Jimmy. Cannot wait. Wine Time.
Let's go.
Dominate. Same thing we did last.
I'm stoked, man. This is going to be a blast, man. I was so happy that you asked me to do this, man. Been under the weather all week, so I couldn't really talk to my guy Cab when he brought this up to me. But right when he told me about it, I was like, dude, I'm in. Let's do it. These Saturdays have been a blast, man. Most profitable show on Saturday mornings in any sport, and especially in college football, man. It was an insane run, guys. Like we're not exaggerating. It's just it's facts. It's written down. It's all record kept. It was an incredible run by all the cappers that came on there, man. I'm looking forward to breaking these games down with you on Saturday mornings.
Oh, that's dope. Look at that. It looks so cool. I love the artwork.
And if you check out the bottom two, I can't wait. This week, we're going to have LJ from H-Town with us, and also the Philly Sharp. Shout out to the Philly Sharp. Like I said, a couple different people come in each week. Wine Time will be with us every week. Dutch Boy Fresh will be with us every week. Our guy Ski Profit will be there next week. It's going to be a blast. We're going to make a lot of money, and we're going to dominate Saturdays. So be there. Be there with us. We need your help.
Oh, that's dope. I want to see that again. That is I love the artwork. That is so cool. Look at young Billy Walton. That is dope, man. That looks great. And then the book ended by Kobe and MJ, man.
There you go.
The only person who can compete has a level of competition like those two. Nobody. But if there was one, might be Larry Legend. That guy liked to compete. That's dope. I love it. I love everything about it. I love everything about it. So all about the hoops. The starting five begins this Saturday. 10:45 a.m. Eastern, and every Saturday as we move forward. I think it's great. Great stuff, Daby Cab. I love to see it. Love to see it. All right, let's roll on here into college football. Jim DeWeer says the last Syracuse title when Melo was there. Well, maybe there'll be another one with his son here. But let's roll college football. We have the Commander-in-Chief's trophy up for grabs here, the 125th meeting between the Navy midshipmen and the Army Black Knights. We're at Northwest Stadium in Landover, Maryland. 37 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 5-mile-per-hour winds. Let's get into the line history here for this one and set up the cash flow and then hear from our experts. Cash flow wise, we have, or let's go with the spread. Spread wise, we have Army as 6.5 point favorites. And it also, when it came out at 6.5, this was 4 days ago, it moved immediately to Army -7. And then it moved back. And it took about 7 hours for it to move back. So it moves back. And then it stays at the 6.5. So it's right where we started without a difference in VIG, sitting at 6.5. Let's take a look at the total for this one. We have the total at 39 now, 38.5 at some books, 39. So this total opens up at 39.5. It starts getting juiced to -117. Then it drops to 38.5. And then it bounces back up to 39.5 on Wednesday night. And then 39 is where it is right now, slightly juiced to the under. So we have a 0.5 point move to the under. So not a move at all on the spread and a 0.5 point move on the under. The Juice says, give me Navy. This game should not have a spread over 3.5 ever. Kong's Clips screaming, college football's not over yet. Kong's Clips, you're the man, Kong. And the juice like in the under 39 too. I can't wait to talk about this game. So let's get into the cash flow. That is also extremely relevant. We have 87% of the tickets and 93% of the cash on Army. If there was a window right beside me, I would get up right now and I would bet Navy right now. But I want to talk it out. Obviously, nothing's happening with everybody on Army. 35% of the tickets and 79% of the cash is on the under. So I don't think we should say that the sharps are on Navy because there's not very many people on Navy, but the books are opening up their arms to all of this Army money. So we know that's happening. Then let's talk about the total. The under has gone 45, 10, and 1 with these when service academies meet. So we're including Air Force here. That's since 2006, 2007.
Yep.
45, 10, and 1. Last year's Army-Navy game closed at 28. That was the lowest it's ever closed at, and it was a push. This is the highest total these teams have had since 2019. It closed at 41.5. And they haven't gone over 41.5 in the last 10 times they've met. This is also the first time since 2017 that these two teams come in with winning records. And they don't just have winning records. We have Navy at 8-3. We have Army at 11-1. We just saw Army beat Tulane and destroy Tulane. 35-14. That won them the conference. Navy's been in this conference since 2015, has never won it. We have the number one rushing offense in the country with the Black Knights. You have Bryson Daly, who has the same amount of touchdowns as Ashton Genty, 29 of them on the ground, 1,480 yards. He also threw for 877, 8 touchdowns and an interception. Army has turned the ball over 5 times this year. That's the fewest in all of college football. They've turned the ball over 5 times. They've taken the ball away 19 times. They've held opponents to 15 points per game. That's the 7th fewest in the country. And they've held opponents to just 3.99 yards per carry. So why then is this number not moving with 93% of the cash on Army? Who can defend a triple option offense? Well, we thought Tulane was going to be able to. They couldn't. Can Navy stop the run? They've given up over 200 yards on the ground in 2 of their 3 losses this year. They're only ranked 85th nationally against the run. And in that final game against East Carolina Pirates, Blake Horvath wasn't there. So, Horvath, we talked about the last time there was a high total was back in 2019. That was the last time they had a 1,000-yard passer. They have one again with Horvath, and he can run. So he's thrown for 11 touchdowns, 4 picks. He's thrown for 1,154 yards, leads the team in rushing with 895 yards and 13 touchdowns. So there is the setup. Let's hear from our experts. Daby Cab, you've moved on this game. Do you want to go over your action before we hear from Wine Time?
Yeah, for sure. Look, you hear that? If you listen real closely, you can hear it coming. It's a train, right? And it's loaded down with fucking money. And Kong's Clips is sitting on it, and he's smiling and waving at us. It's the Army train, and it's been going back and forth all fucking season, just bringing the money. And I've just been watching and waving. Look, I understand what you're saying in the chat with, this game shouldn't be anything over 3.5 and this, that, and the other. I disagree. And sometimes the books get it wrong. I think Army's a better football team. I took Daly to get at least 2 touchdowns. His rushing number is at like 124 or 125, something like that. I haven't checked it in a while. I like that too. But in all honesty, I like him to get in the end zone twice, even with the low total. I understand there might not be a ton of points. But look, even with that being said, wins and losses aren't transitional. I say that all the time. So you can't just look at Tulane and be like, look at what Tulane did with Navy and look at what they did with Army. That being said, fucking look at what Tulane did with Navy and look at what Tulane did with Army, okay? I understand they're not transitional, but Army is on a little bit different tier than I feel like Navy is. And with these service academies, it's not very often we get to see one of these teams that can genuinely take a little bit of a step up. And I think with Daly at the QB, Army has done that this year. I think they're going to cap it off with the win here against Army. 6.5. I like that also, but just for me, Daly, at least 2 touchdowns. We talked about it Tuesday with Pete. You can get that at plus 120.
Plus 120 for Daly, over 1.5 rushing touchdowns. Rick J says Army going to smash a lot of people here in the chat all over Army. And then, of course, Kong's clips with 6 units on Army. That's a lot of bullishness from our guy Kong's clips. Let's hear from Wine Time Sports. Wine Time. Take it away, Midshipman Black Knights for the Commander-in-Chief's trophy.
This is a really interesting game every single year, Jim. You already touched on the history of these two playing to the other since the 2006 era. When I first started gambling, once I heard about the 70% rate, I think it was back in like 2018, I started taking these unders every single year. Over the years, the total keeps dropping, and we saw the total last year drop all the way to a 28, and I still took it. It ended up being a push, I believe. These two teams know each other so well. These two teams go back so much. This is a big game for both of these teams. We've seen Army take care of business the last 2 matchups in these games. My guy Kongs, man, he's been giving out these Army nights, man, every single week. And like Cab mentioned, he's just been cashing, cash. Playing really good football this season. Shout out to them. That's the only reason why I'm most likely not on Navy in this spot. Because who do I think is the better team in this matchup? It's Army, and it's not even close. You got Bryson Daly, electric football player, man. This guy is just doing it all this year on the ground, getting it done in the air, too. You got Horvath, on the other hand, the quarterback over at Navy. Didn't play last week. You saw Braxton Woodson, I believe his name is. He did the same thing what Horvath would do, though. This offense isn't going to change with whoever is at quarterback for them. In fact, I think Woodson might have actually done a better job than Horvath, if we're being completely honest. If you look at his stats from last week, really good on the ground and in the air, efficient. Army, though, man, this isn't a team I look to fade, even though it seems like everyone's on Army. 99% of bets and cashes on them. It's not really moving. I get it. My apologies, 87% of bets, 93% of cash. If this line starts moving towards Army, I think Army's going to be the clear-cut spot. I think if you got in at the 6.5 and it goes to a 7 or 7.5, it's a very sharp look. I'm going to stay away from this game. I might look to a live over in this spot, though, guys. If both of these teams don't score on the first couple of drives, I might look to get on this over, because these are 2 completely different offenses that we've seen in years past. They like to get it done through the air, and we see how electric Bryson Daly is. We saw in that UTSA game, this team is explosive. That's how they score, is on these explosive plays. You'll see a 70-yard rushing touchdown by Bryson Daly, 50-yard passing touchdown by Bryson Daly. It's just electric. If they can continue to explode on those big explosive plays, it's going to be hard for Navy to keep up with these guys. For that reason, I'm off this game, guys. It's a tough matchup. I really look forward to watching this game every year. I'm going to be watching this one. I'm hoping I can get on the over live at some point in this one. I'm going to stay off the side, though. It definitely, I get both sides, because you look at the market, it tells you Navy. You look at the eye test, it's telling you Army all day long here. But like I said, Woodson looked good against an East Carolina team that's, I'm not saying they're good by any means, but we touched on it. They lost Tulane 35-0. We saw Army blow the doors off Tulane. I talked about it last week. I was on the Army team total under, and we lost. The past of those teams, I'll still take that bet every day of the week, but this Army offense is just, it's different from years past. They're explosive on some of these explosive plays. So I'm going to stay off this one. I can see both sides, though, in this game.
So to clarify here with the offshore market, there's not a single book that didn't open this at 6.5. I just looked at 8. Every book opened this at 6.5. And, oh, look at that. That's what I was hoping for, Justin. That's very interesting news. Thank you. Boston U back at 5.5. So another thing here is, Kong's got 6 units on it. Kong's made everybody money all year. What does it matter what I have $300 on? It doesn't. It's not that big of a deal. Like And looking at some of these books, and look, the Sharps backed the Browns 3 years ago every single game and got crushed every single game. We saw the Sharps back the New York Jets every single game, get crushed in every single game, even when Rodgers throws for 300, which is the first time in 34 games. But there's certain books that I think are, sharper than the rest. And the one of them here has now moved it to 6 at 10:39 this morning.
Wow.
And it's a very sharp offshore book. So they've moved it a half point towards Navy. It's taken 1 cent of juice in the 3 hours. Army's taking 1 cent of juice. Wow, Kong, what? And Rivers opened this up at 2.5. Okay. Kent Davies is showing Pinnacle open this up at 4.5. I'm on Pinnacle.
The good news is, Jimmy,
Yeah.
all you got to do is take your $300 bet and put it on daily 2+ touchdowns, and then you can get $660 back, and you don't got to worry about the spread because he's going to get it, and they can tie, lose, win, whatever.
Well, I am interested in your action here. What? Can you let me know what site here? Because I've got Pinnacle opening this up at 11:04 a.m. They opened it up at 6.5, and 10 minutes later it moved to 7, which is what you would expect from this line. Enough says you telling me Army doesn't get to 23 points. So, look, I'm not sitting here. I'm not going to bet Navy right now. But okay, because I've got 2 different sites that show me here, Kent, that open at 6.5. But I don't see how you look. How do you not fade Army after beating Tulane 35-14 and Tulane throwing the pick and fumbling the ball off the top, and Army having a huge party where they're celebrating nonstop, and everybody, it's just the greatest moment in Army history. I mean, and then what? They're just going to come in here and destroy Navy?
Well, if they lose to Navy, that greatest moment is going to be clouded by a very ugly end of the season. So there's that.
That's true. And Kong Slip says, I've said all year this market does not matter in college football. And you've done a spectacular job with it, Kong. You've done a spectacular job with it. But if this line is 6 or 6.5, in tonight, or at 9 in the morning, or 10 in the morning, or noon tomorrow, I'll have to bet Navy. It's just what works for me. It's what makes me money. And look, I'm not a 100-unit guy, and Kong is. So I would trust Kong. I also think that the under should be bet. I think that if Army does dominate this game, they're not going to want to run up the score on Navy. They're just going to play real clean football. Even if Navy starts filling the box, Navy not that good against the run, I think Army will just continue to run it as to not embarrass Navy. So I think that the under is again in play, and everybody seeing the scores that Army's put up, expects this game to go over. I think it'll go under again. So I'm going to enough says Army still in everyone's mind that they're a running only team, and it's not just the same. I get it. And Kong says Army absolutely wants to embarrass. Maybe it is their goal every season. Maybe the players do. But the coaching staff, there's so much respect for these 2 service academies. So much respect. So look, daily over 1.5 touchdowns for Daby Cab. I'm very interested in that. And I don't see how you can't be interested in Navy. And the only reason why you wouldn't be interested in Navy is if Kong's Clips had made you $10,000 over the last few months. And if he has made you $10,000, then you better tail him. So I completely understand the situation at hand. I'm going to move on the under now. And if it goes up, if it climbs up, I'll bet it again. But I'm going to move on the under now, and I'm going to wait on the spread. I'm going to wait on the spread. If it stays under 7, I just think it's telling, and I'll take a risk with $300. I mean, it's not. I'm not. not changing anybody's life with a $300 bet, but and it has nothing to do with like I'm not fading Kong. It's just that this is the market that I succeed with when 90+% is on a very popular side and the line's not moving. Now it doesn't work every time, but so we have an official play from Daby Cab. Anything here from you, my friend? Wine Time? Anything you're gonna make official yet?
No, nothing official yet, Jim. I want to see where this market goes by the morning time tomorrow. We'll see if this goes down to a 6. You guys might see me end up on Navy just because of market-wise alone. I haven't backed this Army team this year. In fact, I faded them the last 2 weeks. I won with UTSA when we took them +7. Got the cash. They probably should have won that game outright, and I lost last week with the Army team total under 20.5. I think I gave out against Tulane. This is – I can only lean towards Navy from market alone because there is going to be some trick plays in this game, guys. And if Navy can take advantage on one or two of these trick plays, big plays down the field, and they're able to get in the end zone, maybe they're able to backdoor this, stay in this game if it's a low-scoring affair. If it is a low-scoring affair, staying within 6 points shouldn't be too difficult. But as of right now, if this goes to a 6, I will be on Navy. I won't back Army with a majority of tickets and money on them if it continues to make it look like the books want more money on Army. I'll take Navy in that spot. But as of right now, I'm going to stay off this one, guys.
The book that just moved to 6, I think, is the second sharpest book in the land. That moved to 6 this morning. So let's just keep an eye on it. Nutflesh said, remember what Tulane held Army to? Look, the fumble and the interception, I mean, it was just over immediately because Army just doesn't make mistakes. They just make no mistakes. They're not going to screw anything up. It's fun. It's a very, very fun breakdown. Daby Cab, what incredible news here for the channel. Starting tomorrow morning, we have the starting 5, all about the hoop starting 5. 5 different cappers each Saturday will be rocking, and I just love the artwork. Did Jose do that?
He did, yeah. Shout out to Jose, man. Appreciate you. It was all college, and we were like, hey, you got to throw the NBA on there also. So we don't want to handicap anybody to the availability of bets. We just want to make everybody money. So NBA, college basketball, this weekend there's a lot of really good college basketball games. So it might be a little bit more college basketball than NBA, but like I said, it's going to be a little bit of whatever. Anybody who likes to gamble needs to show up. That's kind of what it is. Best bets.
God, I can't believe that Bill and Kobe aren't here with us anymore.
Crazy.
And I don't know if I put Camelo in that poster though. I don't think I do.
That you can thank Dutch for that one.
Oh well, if Dutch wants it, then that's okay. That's okay. But I don't think I put him on because I mean, come on, look at the other 4. I mean, come on. But that's great stuff. The Jew says the Hick from French Lick, my all-time favorite player. God, guys, just the cockiness about him was just so much fun. Those guys were just so cocky, and they weren't that rich. They were just cocky. Now they're cocky because they have 500 million sitting in the bank. It's a little different. That's great stuff, Daby. Thank you for rocking with us, my man. Crush the show tomorrow morning. I imagine that we'll be doing a lot of promotion for it today. So get that cash. Thank you for rocking with us, Daby Cab, my man. Any last words for the Capper Sport in the show?
Oh, no. Just love doing this with you guys. Tomorrow morning, 10:45 Eastern. Be there. Let's make some money.
Let's go.
See you guys soon, man.
Respect. There he is. Cadabra. Wine Time. What you've done in NBA was fast. That was a fast climb out. Now we go double-digit units up. Double-digit units up. That's the next goal right now. Great job climbing out those 16-4 over the last 5 weeks. Very impressive. I enjoy these Fridays immensely. Thank you for all your time, your angles, and your hard work. Please support our guy, Wine Time Sports here. I'm going to pop his X handle in the chat. We're about to race for $100. We are about to race for $100. So let's get that going. But let me pop your X handle in the chat. Wine Time, any last words for the Capper Sport in the show?
Yeah, Jim, always a pleasure doing this show with you on Fridays, man. Like I say every week, I look forward to doing this with you, man. Been kind of under the weather all week, but I wasn't going to miss the show for the world. Wasn't going to miss the show with Jose. A little bit worse with Jose over there because that's when I was in the middle of it. But I'm a lot better now, guys. And there's nothing better than doing this with you guys, capping the car with my guy, Jimmy the Bag. Seeing my guy, Daby Cab, come on here, man. It's been a blast talking college football with him. pretty much all sports this whole season long. We're going to keep it going on these Saturdays, guys. Make sure you tune in. It's going to be 7:45 on the West Coast, 10:45 on the East Coast. We're going to be breaking down college basketball and NBA. And these cards on the weekends they're going to be fun. They're going to be really fun, guys. So I'm looking forward to it. Make sure you tune in. Follow me on X at Wine Time Sports, guys. Gave out a couple plays. I'll give you guys a couple plays too right now for college basketball that I gave out in the chat earlier. I'm on Nebraska. Let's see, -4, -110. And I'm on UNI, -14.5, -110. 2 spots I'm in on college basketball. My action's going to start getting more and more as college football winds out. We've got playoffs and we got some very good matchups. Told Jim last night, man, I can't wait to talk these games next week, dude. It's going to be a good time. Can't wait to talk these games with Jose on Wednesday as well. I think we need to break down this card a couple of times, man, because it's going to be a great one next weekend for college football. Shout out to you guys, man. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Love you guys. Have a good weekend. Get that cash.
There he is, Wine Time Sports. We will do a review of all action, but first let's bring our co-host here on Betting with the Bag, star of the Betting with Bouquet show on Wednesdays. Please welcome Snips Bouquet to the telecast. Woze, how are you?
I thought you forgot about Woze. I'm not going to lie.
No, we talked about it last night on the live stream. We discussed our. We were all very impressed with Woze.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I guess what was it? A tale of woe, a tall tale of woe.
I have no idea what I said. I have no idea. No recollection whatsoever.
Well, I'm doing all right. I'm ready to race some camels.
Mr. Belvedere has called you Froze. That's not bad too.
Sure, Lynn. Get it in there. Come on. The more the better, right?
Big Scott, I'm going to look at it more only because it's the play of the day from Clark Edge and from Ron Crawford, right? Oh no, from Taint. Only because it doesn't do enough for me. If it wasn't their plays of the day, I would let it go. But I'm going to take another look at it here. So so I'm not sold at this point here. Yes, have you talked about your feeling for the trade that the Red Sox made? Have you told us your feelings on that?
He's good. I hope he resigns in the next 2 weeks, or else I'm going to be a little annoyed. So I have no real opinions, honestly. I just hope that he pitches well. The Yankees just traded for Devin Williams. That pissed me off. And the Cubs are going to trade for Kyle Tucker. That's going to happen here in the next 20 minutes, I'm sure.
Wow, that's exciting. That's exciting. Thank you to all our PSR Gold members. How many do we have?
We have 82 gold members
82
here. Shout out to Robert McCornett here being the latest one. And Jim, hopefully they sign another or get another starting pitcher. That's what I care about more. I want the next starting pitcher now as well, Jim. But 82 gold members here, and we're racing on that beautiful artificial sand here. Jay Peasy bursts out there with saturated. Saturated got word of Kyle Tucker coming in, and he is excited. Ronnie Crawford in the mix.
$100.
Oh, well, look at that, Jimmy. Look at that down on the bottom, Jimmy. Jeff Slaughter coming in the mix there again.
Come on.
Could Jeff Slaughter possibly do this again, Jimmy?
No.
Could it be, Jimmy? He goes back to back.
No, not a chance. Johnny Gunn's there looking very strong. And here comes Nasty Nate, slowly moving along the outside. Just another heartbreaking race here we expect from that. Oh, no! And Nasty Nate starts moving backwards. Skunt Blaster has the lead. 14 seconds left. Who's going to hit the wire? And here comes Sharon. And Nasty Nate coming again. Nasty Nate is coming again. No,
oh, my God!
It can't happen. It can't happen. Can it? And no, it can't happen. Tory Coker is our winner, $100 richer. $100 richer.
Wow, that's back to back. I really thought.
It can't happen. It's just like the Cubs and the Cubs losing. There's something special about it. Makes these races more enjoyable. Nasty Nate with 2 impressive performances this week that have brought him $0.
Yeah, second and a fifth is respectable.
But this year at Pubapalooza, we will race. I know.
I don't believe that.
No, we will. we had so much action going on with so many bets, and
well, I'm glad we're going on a weekend where there's not that many games and there won't be that much action, right?
Oh man, no,
you were disgusted. You're like, fake horse racing. Why the fuck do I care about that fucking fake horse race? I was like, all right.
No, we'll do it this year. I did get a little too caught up in my own. I got a little selfish because that's what Pubapalooza is all about, being selfish, and it's the perfect weekend for that. Do anything you want, anything you please here. Shout out to Tori Coker, $100 richer, not 50, $100 richer for Tori Coker. Let me write this down. Excellent work. Let's do a quick review of all action. Big Scott on the Canes, -0.5 in the first period. Let's review. I'm on the over 6, -120. I'd be very curious to see if anything has changed in that one. Yeah, 5-cent move against me. Look, if this was, again, like, we talk about Kong's confidence with Army. Like, if this was only on the market, I would bet the under. But there's so much offensive firepower. The goaltending's been so weak. Now, Yomark's been a little better of late. Millsy in the house rocking his Jordan 11s, patent leather. Millsy looking good out there. Stacks play today, number 1, the Cleveland Cavaliers under 232.5, going heads up with wine time on that one. Stack play today, number 2, Nebraska -4.5. I'm on Nebraska. Morgan Spooner on Boston University +4.5. Weber State -2.5. And South Dakota State +9.5. Rodney Barton on Boston University +5.5. Spurs -3.5. Lex Steele on Boston University +5.5. Gifted Cartel on Merrimack -4.5. CMAC leaning to Boston and the under. The Juice on the Terriers, and I'd like to move on Boston here, so I'm gonna take a look at that. CMAC on the over 150 in Army George Washington. Not flush, looking at the Army team total over. Then I've got some interest in La Tech and UTSA. I want to spend a little more time. I did double up on Nebraska first half and full game. We have CMAC on Nebraska first half -2. They're saturated in the house. No, we didn't, right?
Oh no, we absolutely did.
Oh shit. Okay, we did. Yes, I thought it didn't make the top 5 for some reason.
Yeah, no, we did. And saturated, congratulations on Kyle Tucker.
Is that being confirmed?
No, I'll break it to you right now, saturated. It's confirmed from me, my sources. It's done. It'll be done here in the next hour.
Omaha, for me, Omaha is the play today for Ron Crawford. I'm going to be on Omaha first half here. I'm not sure when I will bet it. Likely very soon. Taint play today and the Clark Edge play today is both on Weber State, and CMAC is on just a lean to South Dakota State. Chosen one on the under 144.5 in Colorado, South Dakota. In NBA, Ron Crawford play today is Brooklyn. LJ from H on Trilogy play today is Memphis -10.5, double revenge spot. Kenny Kencan is on Embiid 11 or more rebounds at +106. Richards 10 or more rebounds -107. He parlayed them together at +300, and he's on both teams to score in the first period in Ottawa, Carolina +150. Wine time on the over 232.5 in Washington, Cleveland. He's on the, and I'm interested in Philadelphia here. Wine time on the over 227.5 here on the Pacers, Sixers. Then wine time on the Timberwolves -8.5. I'm not going to bet the Nets here with the double revenge. I do have some interest in the Bulls. I don't know if I get there. I want more information on the health of all these players. Wine time on the Clippers at +6.5. And I'm going to be on the Jazz and the Blazers. I'm going to bet that right now. And that, my friends, is our show for today. Daby on daily over 1.5 rushing touchdowns. I expect to be on Navy, but I'm going to wait a little bit. I will be on the under. I'm going to bet that now. Wine time gave us Northern Iowa -14.5, Nebraska -4. And that is our show for today. And that is the weekend that is. So we have our big brand new show popping off tomorrow morning. Our brand new show that we're very excited about. The Starting 5. All about the hoop Starting 5. Then we have our huge live stream for UFC. UFC Tampa pops off tomorrow
Last
evening.
one of the year.
Definitely check out the Locker Room podcast and see what the squad is betting. Then Sunday, NFL Pub Hub back in business. That's exactly what I'm doing now. I'm going to go do records and invites for NFL Pub Hub. We've got debuts. It's going to be a very fun NFL Pub Hub. And then we have Packers Seahawks on Sunday night, which is my Saturday night, although I'm going to be boozing all weekend, so it takes a little of the glamour off of it. But that is our plan. And Nutflush says San Francisco was supposed to get Tucker. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat: Rick J, Nutflush Allen, Kelly McInnes, Big Scott, MMA Locker Room, Saturated, LV Sphere, Johnny Guns in the house says, do you like first period over in that hockey game? Yeah, I mean, I'm on the over 6. I like the first period over, but I would prefer to have 60 minutes on a bet. I'm not doubling up. The market's going against me, so I would have no interest in doubling up. I'm really uncomfortable with the market. The sharp action is clearly on the under, but again, T-Moss, Super True Story, Justin McKelvey, Zoe Fay, Kent Davies, Rem Most wants to pixelate to blur out your hair. That's what. But how many more weeks do we have of that hair?
Till the end of the year.
And why is it that you decided? Because people have asked me why he's growing it out to the end of the year, and I had no answer for them.
I don't have an answer for them either. So,
Okay.
yeah, just shits and giggles.
All right.
I'll tell you, it gets a lot of oohs and ahs. I'm like, it feels like I'm 7 feet tall walking down the street. I'll have people just look at me like I'm, naked or something. I'm just my hair, of course.
Probably more shits than giggles, I'm guessing.
Probably, yeah. Probably.
Jim Dewigger, Kong's Clips, Mr. Belvedere, Yenny, thank you guys. Irish King, Robert Franklin, thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Rick J, saying that my hair is marketable. And there goes Molly the dog.
There goes Molly. So let's put a bow on this. Jose, thank you for all your hard work throughout, my friend. You guys have an incredible weekend. Let's get this cash right away. Let's start getting paid here in a few short hours. Jose, can you bless our action and let us into the future?
Yes. Shout out to you guys. Saturated, everyone. Go watch starting 5 this weekend. And do not forget to start making your plans for Pubapalooza. Book those flights early. And then you can shack up with some Airbnb buddies there as well. So shout out to you guys. Good luck, everyone. And let's go fucking make some money today. Like Jay, Alo's bookmakers. Let's go.